When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need: Maconi.
With the launch of Maconi Entertainment and Maconi Competizone alongside Maconi Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MaconiSetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at Maconi Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
We're in the honeymoon capital of the world. Welcome to the Pocono Mountains. The air is crisp, the asphalt is fast, and the strategy gets tricky. Race day for the Door Cup Series here at the Tricky Triangle of Pocono Raceway, live right here on Maconi Entertainment. Mark Scala with you alongside Ron Mons with Christian Hill in mission control using cameras by Whiplash SimCams. And Ron, there is no track on the NASCAR schedule quite like this one.
Oh, there certainly is not. Pocono is a storied racetrack no matter how you slice it. It's part of that old breed of NASCAR racetracks and just oval racetracks, period, where they just want to build something for the sake of building it, build an awesome racetrack, then worry about the racing action later. Pocono is absolutely fantastic. It's my home track. I'm about 2.5 hours south of it in the city of Philadelphia. I love Pocono. I've been here before. It's a wonderful place, and really looking forward to this race here tonight.
And there's the place everyone looks to wind up at by the end of the night. If you're new to Door Racing League action, they follow the Real Life Cup Series. Last week, obviously, no Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez on the calendar, so instead they went to Auto Club Speedway, which, of course, we all miss near and dear to our hearts. And Brian Wasserman taking his first win of the season, winning by 0.3 of a second, a close finish between him and Joshua Hyatt. Wasserman leading 42 of the race's 130 laps. A tough break for Daniel Best, leading 82 laps in that race, but coming home 4th in the end. Final car on the lead lap. Playoff picture right now has a couple different winners on the season so far. In fact, 9 different winners on the year, but the most dominant driver without question, Ron, has been Trevor Baxter with 8, and he'll be one to watch out for once again if tonight. I don't know if he's qualified yet, but should he run with us, he'll be a factor again.
Yeah, 8 wins. That is absolutely astonishing. And looking through the schedule that we've had, I don't think we have had 8 racetracks that share really anything in common outside of being probably over a mile long and having some left-hand turns in it. 8 wins is absolutely insane. A fantastic record. He has as many wins as the rest of the drivers locked into the playoffs. So Trevor Baxter, if he is showing up here tonight, definitely going to be one driver that we have on our radar for doing well here this evening.
Of course, for those that are regular viewers on Maconi Entertainment, you saw a Cup race last night, that of course being the full-length Cup Challenge. We also showed Xfinity action as well on Friday night. So, concluding the weekend here in the honeymoon capital of Long Pond, Pennsylvania, with a fun Cup race around the quarter. Qualifying is just wrapped up. 12 drivers were able to take time here in qualifying of just about a 20-car field or so. Yep, 20 cars indeed. Let's meet the field and get you your starting lineup. William Hewitt starts on pole position in car number 11. His time of 53.192. To his outside, it's Miguel Alvarez in the 19. Josh Sanchez inside row 2 with the number 22, with Daniel Best to his outside in the number 5. Danny Carpenter starts 5th in the number 28. To his outside, Michael Kurdziolek in the 41 Ford. Then in row 4, James Nesta in the 29, who's outside Brian Wasserman in the 57. And rounding out the top 10, Chris Essery in the 4 and Michael Reeves in the 00.
Then looking outside of the top 10, the list of the drivers starting this race continues on with Thomas Freeman in the 17 starting in P11 alongside Joshua Switzer in the number 6. Looking right behind them on row number 7 is Trevor Baxter and Mike from Race Control. I believe he's not actually going to be taking the start for this race. And looking through, we've got Alan Duggar starting this race in the number 15 car, the number 12 on the side in P number 15. Next to Thomas Hegland in P16. Brian Brian Burchett will start this race in P17. Alongside him will be Doug Ezel. And looking out just barely inside the top 20, we have Terry Orr and Tommy Osborne.
Going to be a fun race, that's for sure, as we give you a little bit of a race analysis. 104 laps the distance, broken up into 3 stages, 26, 26, and 52. Fuel cap at 85%, so because of that, they'll go about 36 laps on fuel or so, and a pit road speed of 55 miles an hour. We get a good look at Pocono Raceway, and obviously we call it tricky and unique in the NASCAR calendar here, Ron. You see turn 1, that represents Trenton. Turn number 2 reps Indianapolis, and turn number 3 Milwaukee.
Yeah, got a small little tidbit of every single thing. It's like a taster plate of old American open wheel racing gone by. Whenever I think of Pocono personally, the first thing that pops into my mind is IndyCar. Sadly, haven't seen an IndyCar race here since 2019, but still, NASCAR can put on some pretty good racing. Storied here as well. The amount of cup races have been held here over the years, rather astonishing. That's where I got my happy hunting ground. You can see that camera shot a little bit farther in the back, looking at the infield road course. Used to run some karting events here all the way through from, I think, 2014 was the first time I ran here, albeit that was out in the back parking lot behind the main grandstands. Moved into the infield back in 2016 and kept racing there until my final ever time in the kart back in 2023. Pocono, absolutely amazing and a beautiful part of the country as well. Marty, you're not too terribly far away from Pocono, albeit you're on the opposite side of it that I am, but Pocono, absolutely awesome.
I'm about 4 hours from here, so 92 degrees, track temp, 73 air temp, cloudy conditions, and 67% humidity. Ron, before we go green, your keys to victory here tonight.
I would say my main key to victory is just remaining calm and remaining cool and remaining collected. Keep that head screwed on properly on your shoulders and never lose sight of the fact that this is a rather long race that we have got here this evening. If you get too lost up in that red mist earlier on, you're going to find yourself in a world of hurt. These drivers need to remain calm, cool, and collected. Just realize, hey, a lot of time. Take any sort of drama that may happen in the early stage, compartmentalize it, and throw it out of your head. You don't have to worry about the small stuff. Never sweat petty things and never pet sweaty things is the way I like to go about a Pocono race.
Well, we are set to go at it. 19 cages of cold metal with hot rubber at the corners are ready to do battle. They make their way off in turn number 3. We're glad you could join us on Maconi Entertainment. iRacing Pace Car hits pit road. Where else would you rather be than right here, right now? It is showtime at Pocono. See some drivers fanning out 3 wide, not normal, actually a normal situation you see when it comes to starts or restarts. But as they make their way off the Trenton corner, Miguel Alvarez with the early lead, Hewitt in second. Daniel Best tries to go around the outside, has that nice slipstream off the race leader, and the number 5 Toyota moves up to the 5th spot.
And looking at them as they head their way down into turn number 2. Want to get any sort of side-by-side racing out of your system somewhat early. It is so tough to try and manage it running around this racetrack. You got to keep it calm at this stage of the race. Don't get caught up in too much drama right now.
Sanchez gets a little tight there through turn 3, the Milwaukee corner, and lap 1 led by Miguel Alvarez. What turn 4 needed? There's no such thing as turn 4 here at Pocono unless your name is Jeff Maconi. Here's Sanchez all over William Hewitt trying to grab that 3rd position while the field just about spread out all single file throughout here. And up the hill goes Sanchez again. Car looks really tight early off that Ford Mustang.
Yeah, some of these cars, it takes a little bit of time for them to really get into a nice sort of groove. You're going to see these racers start to skid around in the early stages as they look to try and settle into some form of rhythm. That can be a lot easier said than done, though, as we look at these racers side by side through turn number 2. That's Brian Wasserman in the number 15 spot in the 57 car, currently stuck on the outside 2 by 2 as they head their way down into turn at number 3. Despite the fact we're early on, these drivers wasting no time to give us a good fight.
Yeah, big mess in the back of the field here. Also saw Doug Ezel get sideways off in turn number 1, but it was able to keep the car straight, fade back a lot. But obviously we stay under the green flag. Quickest car on track, Alvarez, 52.98. As the field scatters their way in through turn 1, let's go to the 10, the 12, the 4, I should say. Trevor Baxter making his way past Chris Essery, and Velociman up in the wall in the 57.
Contact being made. You can see some damage on that race car as well as he rolls his way out of turn number 1 onto the back straightaway. We remain green and we have some side-by-side fighting. Maybe got flare up at the front of the field. Miguel Alvarez in the number 19 car looking to hold on to the race lead as my tongue gets wrapped around my teeth about 17 times. Daniel Best in the 5 looking to maybe size up an opportunity to get this move done to jump into the race lead.
And you see trying to get the straight there down the front stretch over 3,700 feet of space where the longer straightaways in real-life NASCAR Cup Series action. Looks underneath as he tries to go for the race lead. Ooh, got a little bit tight there. One of the bigger issues here we see with these Cup cars, very easy to get tight in the next gen and go up the hill. Bigger factor as well at the same time can be downshifting too into 4th gear at the same time. A lot of drivers do that a lot, downshifting to 4th gear, specifically Ron in turns 1 and turns 3 as Best gets sideways, a great save. Hewitt allows him to left. Man, oh man, some close calls we're seeing early.
Yeah, that was a super close call as he edged his way out of turn number 2. If there's any section of this racetrack that's conducive to having moments like that, it really is turn 2, as that was a big slap of the wall coming out of turn number 3. Not sure who that was. May have potentially been Danny Carpenter. He's dropping down like a rock. Not sure what the deal may have been there. Just skidded way north up the banking and lost it big time. Daniel Best now, he's running a little bit high as well. I don't think that car is driving particularly smooth after that moment we saw coming out of turn number 2.
A lot of cars sideways again. That's James Nesta in the background. That is down near the apron. But door to door here is Baxter and Kurdzielak into the corner. But Baxter allows him to have it for right now. Something to keep in mind here as well, Ron, I'm not sure if iRacing is implemented as well, but remember there is a new left side compound on these NASCAR Cup Series cards this year. A lot softer, tire wear playing a lot bigger role. I wonder if we're seeing that here early.
Yeah, that's a very good point that he raised there, Marty. These tires are definitely going to have to be your friend to do well here at Pocono. If you beat them too badly, you're going to be in for a world of trouble. If you can keep the tires on your side, though, you're going to be smelling like a bed of roses at the end of this race. Hey, we're in the honeymoon capital of the world for a very good reason. And let's see how these drivers can treat their tires. Whether they treat their tires to a nice steak dinner and a box of chocolates, or whether or not they just, I don't know, give them a pillow.
It's either a steak dinner tonight or a late night trip to McDonald's. That's what the plan is. Sanchez again really tight off of turn number 2. Watching on your screen, Kurdzielak as he tries to chase down Carpenter once again. Alan Duggar up there behind as well in that number 12/15. Duggar at one point quickest car in the race. In fact, he does have it at a 52.96 in that Toyota. And speaking of Toyota, big congrats as well. Chase Briscoe winning the Cup race just about a half hour ago. Obviously, Ron, you know better than me. I'm not sure how much rain you got, but Mother Nature has been an ugly SOB this year.
Yeah, the rain was pretty rough. I was worried that my power was going to go out with some broadcasts I had to do earlier on today as side-by-side racing with the 12 and the 41 out of the turn. And looks like that is going to be a rather commanding move there on corner exit. So that will be still side-by-side down into the turn. That's actually...
Oh, that could get ugly. Oh, bad, oh bad.
And tears.
Yeah, near contact between Switzer and Kurdzielak, and Switzer just about cleared him there with that pass. Let's go to third. Hewitt and Best side by side for that third position. Best off the corner, good drive on corner exit. Ron, that's something you and I talked about a lot on Friday night during FLCC Friday Night Lights. You really want to have a great corner exit to set yourself up, get a good slipstream, whether it's going into turn 1 or into turn 3 or any corner as a whole.
And the test to try and get a good exit out of these turns is super tricky. It's a test of the driver and a test of the car as well. You had talked about it, Marty, right before we grabbed the green flag in this race. Every single turn around here is different. Every single turn is taken from a completely different racetrack. You've got the old Trent Speedway, which is the inspiration for turn 1, Indy, which is the inspiration for turn number 2, and the Milwaukee Mile, which is the inspiration for turn number 3. Completely different banking, completely different turn radiuses. Just about every single thing thing that you could have different about a turn is the case for all three of them here at Pocono. No corner is the same, and there's really no crossover outside the same asphalt you're running on and roughly the same elevation. It is a tough track to try and nail down. If you can master it, you're going to be good. That's part of the reason why Denny Hamlin's always been so good there in real life. If you can become friends with the tricky triangle, you are going to excel. And if your car can become friends with this tricky triangle as well, you're going to be able to succeed as well, because you will have that grip and just be able to master this track a heck of a lot quicker than everybody else.
Never wins at Pocono, though Hamlin will always proclaim he has 8. Hamlin finishing second just moments ago in the Cup Series race. Here's the race for 8th on your screen. Duggar finds his way past Kurdzielak. Atsuri also trying to get up on that tail end of the number 15. It's a 3-car battle for this 7th spot. So we're 8 laps through in this 104-lap distance affair. Miguel Alvarez, the race leader, off to a strong start over Josh Sanchez by a half second. Daniel Best third. William Hewitt started on pole. He's down into the 4th position. This is on board with Desiree running in 9th. Get a feel for what it's like here around Pocono, track that was repaved just in the early 2010s. Looking as low as possible here. Very interesting seeing Duggar just come in around the outside. I wonder if he just wants to keep his foot in the throttle, or is he just having a tough time turning in?
Yeah, you can definitely understand both sides of that, whether or not he's got an ill-handling race car, or whether or not that is a conscious decision to try and do it. Let's see as he heads his way off through turn number 2. Really probably not a lot to gain by running high through there, and I think he missed the bottom end of the track just a little bit, missed that yellow line by the apron ever so slightly as he heads his way through turn number 3. A little bit more composed through there. I think his decision to run wide through turn number 1 is probably a conscious one, but at the same time I don't think that car is handling too spectacularly either, because it looks like he has a bit of a tight condition heading all through the rest of the track.
Here goes Josh Switzer on a lap car, I should say. Actually, nope, that is a battle for the 7th spot on Switzer here, and that number 6 is there side by side. Good exit from the driver of the number 6 Chevrolet. And Switzer able to clear. Duggar tries to get the draft down the Long Pond straight.
Have some side-by-side racing going on a little bit farther behind, involving some racers. It is a good track to try and battle hard, but at the same time it's so tricky to try and remain side-by-side throughout the entirety of the racetrack. I think we saw a Swapperoo a little bit farther in the back of our camera shots. We're still locked on these two. That's Switzer and Duggar battling tooth and nail. It always throws me for a loop whenever I look at Duggar, because he is marked as number 15 on our graphics despite having the number 12 on the side of his race car. I race him from time to time, but he is still running in P8 no matter how you slice it, as these two are going to look to maybe battle yet again, or they're going to decide to work together as pseudo teammates and build a gap. Although with that high side line from Duggar, I'm not sure if he really has a car to be able to work together.
So Duggar trying to get the slipstream again off Switzer, peeks his nose underneath, set up into Indianapolis turn number 2. And the preferred line here to Duggar in the corner. Switzer keeps his foot in the gas. And Switzer nearly scrapes the safer barrier. He's able to get a good corner exit.
Slide down into turn number 3. Look at Duggar.
Look at this crossover.
There we go. Here comes the 6 back on the inside.
Crossover didn't work too much for Carson Holzfar on Ricky Stenhouse. I believe that was beginning stage number 3. As it's Duggar that edges Switzer at the start-finish line. You know, we're just about halfway home here through stage number 1, Ron, and we should talk about the long-run pace here today, because it's always important here at Pocono. It's staying fast despite tire fade. It's very critical, because cars that sustain it often normally stand out late in the race. That's what we saw in the Cup race just moments ago with how Denny Hamlin finished second, how Chase Briscoe won, how Ryan Blaney as well finished in third.
Many different lessons that he can take from that real-life race earlier on, and just pass them off here into the sim. I gotta say, in fact, I was tuning into that Cup race and seeing the finish right before I hopped up to the broadcast booth here to do this show on Maconi Entertainment tonight. And to all of you tuning into this broadcast, hope you have enjoyed it thus far, and if you have, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss out on the action here on Maconi Entertainment, which is still looking intense between Duggar and Switzer. I wonder if Duggar gonna try and play me like a fiddle after what I said a couple of moments ago and try and build a gap for himself and the 6. You can see getting that good run midway through the turn.
Oh, he's sideways. Switzer able to save it, keep it off the retaining wall, and a close call for the Chevy Camaro driver. And he falls back a plethora of spots down to 11th.
Yeah, that
close call.
Oh, that was so close to disaster, and it looks like that car is ill handling yet again, taking a shallow approach down into turn number 2 and skidding off the track as if he's got cookie sheets under the front tires. That's not going to be a good moment for him at all, as he taps a wall again down the stretch into between 2 and 3. Switzer's car went from handling good to handling like, I don't know, trash bag full of mango pulp or something like that. That car is not looking like it's handling well at all. Now dropping down to 12th, whereas 1 lap ago he was running solidly inside that top 10. So Switzer looking to dust himself off and try and get his bearings straight before things get too out of hand here.
Remember, these cars well known to get sideways if you just gas them on corner exit just a little too much or a little too early. And so now the best battle on track. You see Switzer there on your screen, now trying to gain spots back. Trying to hang on to 12th over Thomas Freeland. Meanwhile, behind them, Michael Reeves, Brian Burchett. That's a race for 14th on your screen.
Right on board with the driver, the 00 car down into turn at number 3. You can see just how flat it is. Every single time there's a race at Pocono, it really staggers me. It feels like that corner is completely flat as a pancake. There is some banking helping it out. I believe it's about, I'm trying to remember, I think I'm trying to get my numbers correct here. I think it's only about 4 degrees of banking potentially. I'll have to look through to see what it is heading off through turn number 3 here, whether it's I know for sure it's in the single digits, but compared to most corners on the NASCAR calendar in terms of the ovals, with maybe the exception of New Hampshire, probably one of the flattest corners that we've got all season long. Even Martinsville's turns I think have more banking to them.
Yeah, turn 1 here is 14, representing Stratton. Turn 2, Indianapolis at 8 degrees, and turn 3, Milwaukee, representing 6 degrees here. So 10 laps to go now in stage number 1. Remember, set for 26 laps before we go under a competition caution. Alvarez, strong start and stayed consistent. Right now that gap on Sanchez at 0.8 of a second. Both of them racking off evenly good laps, and you'd say the same too for Daniel Best, William Hewitt, and Trevor Baxter. And that's a battle that's starting to develop as well for that 3rd spot. Last time by, Hewitt the quickest amongst that threesome.
Peaking at the right time, let's see what these drivers will be able to do as we slowly but surely approach the end of this first stage. Not terribly long away from it here, Marty. Looking good for Miguel Alvarez as he's still leading this race by 7.5, now 0.8 of a second, as here comes a dive down into turn number 3.
Trevor Baxter, biggest mover of this race so far. Should he make the pass on Hewitt, would be up 9 spots, but up 8 alongside Alan Duggar. That's followed by Thomas Heideland, up 7, and then the next, you got to go up 3 spots by Brian Burchett, Terry Orr, and Tommy Osborne. Baxter still trying to fight back in that number 12 ride. He's trying to side draft as well off the 11 of Hewitt. That's one of the very critical portions here at Pocono as well, that side draft. See if he can make that work.
I was just going to say, as they're side by side through turns number 1 and 2, you can tell that there's a difference in confidence between these drivers who find themselves a little bit farther up the road. They're a bit more commanding when it comes to getting these overtakes done, or at least attempting to get these overtakes done. You could just, even from our perspective here in the broadcast booth, looking at these drivers from these outboard shots, seeing them and the way they're handling this racetrack, you just get the feeling that they are feeling a bit more confident than the drivers a little bit farther behind. Talked about this a lot throughout this broadcast, and I will mention it many times between now and the checkered flag. This is a racetrack where if you have confidence, you will be golden.
Go to 8, another drag race into turn 1. This time it's Thomas Heideland. Off to a good start as he finds his way past Chris Essery. This is one of the drivers that's really had his car set up on the long run. Get battle for 8th. That's happening down the Long Pond Straight. Heideland taking that spot away.
Nice to see some good battles all up and down this grid. These drivers looking to try and give us a good show here at Pocono, and we still have a long way left to go in this race. Pushing to the start of lap 20 right about now for your race leader of Alvarez. That number 19 car looking to do exactly what the 19 car did in real life a little bit earlier on today. As we take a look, there may be a fight flaring up involving Sanchez at best. That'll be a battle for the final 2 podium spots. I don't think that Josh Sanchez is really pushing his car too much, but now that he's got the 5 right behind him, is he even going to really push it? How much is there in it in these drivers battling hard at the end of this first stage?
Maybe consider that if the tires are starting to fade off the number 22 at the same time. Remember, no one needs to pit here in stage number 1 based off the fuel window. They can go green to stage checkered. So we'll see what happens here. 6 to go in the stage this time by. Best putting pressure on Sanchez for the runner-up spot. Quicker car last lap was Best. He cut down nearly 3/10 of a second. We just have him get really sideways off of turn number 3, I think. Or that, or I'm seeing double.
Give me a case.
Yeah, we did.
Vision.
Yeah, we did. It was Alvarez on the 19. It was our race leader that got sideways.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened there. The number 19 with a huge sideways snap. He's going to drop down outside of the top 5 as a result of all that. Talk about this race turning on its head. Josh Sanchez, as much as I was thinking, you know what? I think he may just let Daniel Best by. Nope, not going to see that now. Oh, I think okay, he's back on our screens now. I was about to say briefly had a UFO abduction there as Daniel Best getting very flirtatious with that outside safer barrier after turn 2.
Let's show you what happened here with Alvarez. Coming off of turn number 3, that's when he got up into the inside wall, but this was when that car just started getting extremely sideways. Looked a little bit similar to Carson Hocevar's save in stage number 1, but man, that wall helped him out for sure.
Yeah, I think if that wall wasn't there, he probably would have spun back right onto the racing surface and would have probably gotten T-boned as a result. So very lucky for him, the fact he was able to avoid any sort of more major drama than he already had. Granted, it's not a good turn of fortune for the number 19. He's currently in 6th, was leading this race when that incident took place. So it's not a dream scenario for Miguel Alvarez, but he avoided it being an absolute nightmare.
Absolutely. So falls back, could cost himself a playoff point, a bunch of stage points. So new leader in this race because of it. Daniel Best puts his number 5 out to the point as Best actually just made a pass on Josh Sanchez, the latter falling down to 4th on the leaderboard here with 4 to go in the stage.
Don't tell me Sanchez had a moment of his own heading out of one of the turns around this racetrack. That's a huge amount of time to lose, so there had to have been some sort of extracurricular drama involving the number 22 car. Daniel Best, though, I'm going to say thank you very much. I will take that spot. As we get towards the final few laps here in this stage, we've had both of our race leaders thus far have moments. I am convinced that it had to have been a sideways snap from Sanchez. I'm not sure if there's any replay we can cut to see what happened to the driver of the number 22 machine, but that is a big amount of time to lose in such a small amount of time. It had to.
Josh Witzer has crashed here. First yellow, flying on lap 23, and that could be the end of stage number 1. Can confirm, by the way, I watched on a separate monitor too, Ron. Sanchez just got up into the marbles in turn 1 and caught the safer barrier while leading, and because of that, lost the lead out to Daniel Best. So first caution flies here on lap number 23 with 4 to go in the stage, now 3 to go. So we'll have to see if this concludes stage 1. I would have to assume it would.
Yeah, I gotta imagine so. I don't think there's any way they'll be able to get this restart. As we take a look at this replay to see what happened to the driver who just had a really torrid time of things already in this race.
Just see the car get rear end come out from underneath them. Really sideways. I think you can see he got one over those bumps there underneath the racing surface. Just caught the car even more sideways, and there's a Code Brown moment.
That's an absolute Code Brown moment there. Very similar to what we saw happen to the 6 earlier on, but
this
he
is
was
Sanchez.
not able to get away with it that time as we take a look at this replay of Sanchez.
See the car just get out of the gray.
Oh man, that was a huge moment for him down to turn number 1. I am shocked that car kept going in a straight line.
Absolutely, a great save from Sanchez. So waiting to hear if this will end stage 1 or not. I would have to assume so at this point it would, as field comes down pit road. First stops here of the day. So it sounds like they'll be going green on lap 26 unless they see green checkered. So this could determine who wins stage 1. Entire field coming in, 4 tires and fuel.
And hey, as much as it's important to have a good handling race car, super important as well to nail down the strategy. We just saw it in real life earlier on today. Let's see if it happens in the sim here for this race. Looking at these drivers flooding their way into the pit stall. Who's going to be the first out? Is anyone going to risk it and maybe take only 2 tires? I don't think that'll be the strategy call of note here at Pocono, considering this track is basically a giant Goodyear cheese grater. But as they're off the Jackson out and away, let's see who leads.
So Best beats Hewitt off on pit road. Everyone taking 4 tires on that stop, followed by Baxter, Sanchez, and Alan Duggar. Chris Essery, Michael Curtiolak, 7th. Thomas Hegland, 8th. Miguel Alvarez loses even more spots. He's down to 9th. And Thomas Friedman rounds out the top 10. But stage 1 likely go to Daniel Best. We'll begin stage 2 in just a moment. Step aside here, a quick break here on Maconi Entertainment. Live coverage of Door to Door Cup Series action.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need, Maconi.
With the launch of Maconi Entertainment and Maconi Competizone alongside Maconi Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MaconiSetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at Maconi Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to live coverage of Door to Door Cup Series action here at Pocono. Marty Scala alongside Ron Mons, Christian Hill up in the booth as we get set to begin stage number 2 on just a fantastic sports day here today overall around the country. Had NASCAR at Pocono, Chase Briscoe taking the win. He had Indy at Road America, Alex Palou on field mileage, IMSA at Watkins Glen in my neck of the woods. And we get set to go back to green here for stage 2. Daniel Best here, stage 1 winner here. Stage 2 up to lap 52. Other stuff happening around the world of sports. College World Series, LSU taking the win in that today. Game 7 NBA Finals happening tonight, and USA men's soccer playing right now at the moment. So not a bad day to be a sports fan, that's for sure. But we're focused on this one. Stage 2 set to come back to the green here at the Long Pond City. No one fanning out of line. One driver decided to drop back, but look at the gap that Best has opened up on Baxter, headed into turn number 1. 3 wide for third with Hewitt stuck on the extreme outside, but looks for the good exit. He scrapes the wall along with a couple of others. One of them too was Alvarez. Some drivers jockeying to take action. Here goes Baxter though for the race lead, Mons.
Yeah, it looks like there may be a battle between those two in the not too far off future, but my eyes are a little bit farther behind. Those two that came to blows out of turn number 1, they nearly come to blows again through turn number 2. I don't have a good feeling about those two. That, I believe, is Alvarez and Terry Orr battling tooth and nail and being banging and roughing each other up in the process.
They were culling with each other through their flight through Indianapolis as they stay side by side for the 8th spot. Ort should come out with the advantage, and he does by about 100th of a second.
Looking at them side by side yet again, down that start-finish stretch off into turn number 1. These drivers allowing that restart jitters to get out of their system. Now they can put their nose to the grindstone and try and keep it rolling. I think the 19 and the 54 are maybe going to try and break away. Those two numbers you usually see as teammates in real life, but those two were acting as anything but down through the first 2 turns of that restart. They finally settled their differences into turn number 3, but man, they nearly crashed about 5 times in the process of those two being linked door to door.
Remember, restarts always vital here at Pocono due to the long straights, track position, acceleration off the corner. They can make or break your race possibly at the same time. Here we go for second. Hewitt, Baxter, drag race into the line. Advantage to the 11. Now Baxter may be able to clear here into turn 1 thanks to the pull he has off of Daniel Best, and that's the case. But now look at this again, high, wide, and handsome. Goes the 11, he goes to be the 15 of Duggar. Can he grab the 3rd spot off of 1? And he can. Oh, trouble off of 1.
6.
That's Switzer once again up into traffic. Taps the wall, no cautions. He's in the back, we stay green.
And stop now in reverse, trying to get that car back rolling yet again. Another moment involving Switzer. He has had a super tough run thus far in this race. Every single sideways snap we've seen out of him has come out of turn number 1. First, he avoided the wall. Second time, hit the bumps and lost it. Third time, it's a case of deja vu. So let's see if 4th time will be the non-charm if it does happen for a 4th time in this race, as we take a look at some side-by-side racing going on right towards the front of the field.
Steve Sanchez trying to follow the 15 of Duggar and see if he can make the high side on turn 1 work, but pays the price there as he catches the wall.
Unfortunately there, the entire UFO briefly got abducted by a UFO. We're back to the live action now. You can see these racers are running nose to tail down into turn number 2. Now, Marty, I gotta ask you this. Is turn number 2 going to be the premier spot to get a move done in this race, you feel, or is turn 1 and 3 probably gonna be the spot instead?
Well, a lot of drivers, that's for sure. They've been staying side by side in this race, so I feel like the advantage will go to the guy on the bottom. You don't want to be the guy on the outside because it's really easy to get tight through turn 2 when you're side by side, and they can pay the price for one or even both. What do you think?
I mean, honestly, thinking about getting some moves done here around this racetrack, I would say if it were me, albeit very good reason why I'm behind the microphone instead of behind the wheel, probably best to remain patient and just wait for the race to fall into your hands. As you can see, that's who is that running on the?
There you are with a big slide into 1. Meanwhile, 3-car race for the lead underneath. So they actually overneath. Baxter has gone to the point with help from Alan Duggar, and Daniel Best has faded down to the 3rd spot.
We may have a side-by-side fight coming out of turn number 2 that could have ended in tears as they headed their way out of the bend. Man, these racers, they're giving us some good battles and very close calls as well. I think there's been so many sketchy moments throughout this race already. Now, I said earlier on that's important just to be there at the end. As much as these drivers are keeping it clean, they're still making sure their heart rate is positively spiked to get there.
So, can confirm, by the way, Daniel Best got a little sideways off turn 1 and slapped the wall. That forced him to lose the race lead and put him down 2 spots to 3rd. But look at this gaggle for the race. Trouble, caution waves. Alvarez has spun in turn 1.
Oh, I don't think he was alone in all that as well. I think Danny Carpenter may have gotten a piece of that drama as well. I think I saw him grinding to a stop on the outside wall as we saw the field exit 1.
The issue with the 28, we're hearing Carpenter's got a meatball flag after there was contact, that accident and slapping the wall. Could end the day for the Mad Dog Motorsports number 28.
As you can see that front left tire.
Send caution flies here, lap 32. in this event. Here's a look at what happened in the 19. This is again going into turn 1, which has not been nice for a lot of drivers this evening. You're actually watching Carpenter watch the gold car 2 in front. That's Alvarez in the turn 1. Catches the apron and just gets sideways. The 28 gets off the wall. And luckily nobody other than that hits Alvarez, so would assume the 19 would be okay to continue, but for Carpenter, I don't think so.
And you know, actually looking at...
Oh, we just had records under yellow too. 3 cars just spun under the caution flag. Make it 4 as well. Kurdzielak, as well as the 4 car of Essery, the 3 of Burchett, and the 29 of Nesta. Let's get back to live coverage here, as we just had 4 cars come together underneath the yellow flag.
And
what in the world just took place?
And right as you think that Pocono is going to be giving us a tame portion of the race, even under yellow, not going to happen here. I was just going to say that I think the other 4 got a piece of that drama that brought out the yellow, but I have a feeling that 4 cars spinning under caution, there had to have been some sort of shenanigans there. That does not occur naturally.
Let's we'll show you what happened here in just a moment, but that's just simply, in my opinion, guys just not paying attention. Pit stops, meanwhile, some coming in to stop, others staying out. Daniel Best decides to come in. I was going to ask you about this strategy call here. What you do is we're nearly halfway through the stage, under 20 to go here in stage number 2. It's about 50-50 right now at the moment. But here's a look at, this is after everything happened, but this was just simply a situation where some guys just weren't paying attention. They were already catching up to the driver in front and already slowing up. That's just a situation where you got to be a lot more off the throttle beforehand. There you see it right there. So the 29 just came out of nowhere, catches the 4. I think the 3 was trying to take action. There you see the 3 just came right there with absolutely nowhere to go. Here's another look for it off of turn number, they're coming off of turn 1 right. Nope, this is off of turn 2. Hey, you just see drivers just coming in way too fast.
Yeah, big difference in speed as those racers headed their way down the backstretch under caution. Not the first time that's happened in the world. It won't be the first time it's ever happened in the sim either, but that is still a big moment. Those drivers picking up a little bit of damage in that incident as well. As, oh, look at that. That could have ended in tears. I'm not sure who that was in the bright blue car that nearly just got completely wrecked down the backstretch as we saw that car reverse trying to get back turned around in the right direction. Nesta nearly wiped somebody out in that backing up action.
So, well, we had a yellow for Recca now as we come back to live as well. All is good. Some drivers just getting to the tail line. So, after pit stops, top 7 drivers stay out. 8th on back with a 9-lap advantage here when it comes to tires. I think the key here when it comes to pit strategy, obviously you want to break this race into stages, and you know, Ron, teams always normally in NASCAR plan backwards from the finish, breaking this race into 3 to 4 stints so they try to avoid a final splash of fuel. But you know, this is a track that in Pocono that doesn't chew up tires though like some tracks at the same time.
Yeah, you know, thinking about that strategy call that the teams usually make to kind of reverse engineer the strategy for this race, I think these drivers need to maybe consider that at this point in time. You know, we're still a long way from the checkered flag, but we aren't too terribly far along from the end of this second stage. And when we get to that final stage, you will have to shift your attention from going from, you know what, I just want to be there to get those stage points. You gotta shift your attention from that to being able to do well at the end of this race. So I think as far off as the end of it may seem, these drivers still need to try and put a bit of focus on there. To do well in a race like this, there are so many different things that need to occupy your brain. You need to think in the present. You need to think a little bit farther in the future, whether that be in about 5 laps time, 10 laps time, or just looking ahead to the end of the stage. And you also have to have part of your brain looking off farther into the distance. That's the thing when it comes to these big sim racing events. unlike in real life where you've got a whole team behind you, a crew chief, a spotter, and everybody, you've got to work all that stuff out by yourself. Even if you have some software in the sim that'll like calculate the fuel for you or anything of the sorts, you still want to run those numbers in your own head if you can, because I've seen those fuel services do people very, very dirty. So that's the great thing about these sim racing events. That's what makes them challenging. You need to think about so many things as you're out there on the track.
Well, the good news is that drivers that were involved in that yellow, with the exception of Carpenter, are not out of this race. But the bad news is, remember, there are no quick repairs, so how much damage to do to the drivers that were involved under not just the wreck that caused the caution, but the wreck when catching up to the pace car. We're back to the green flag. Baxter, a great jump, able to hold serve, but remember, let's watch the drivers on 4 tires, 9 laps of fresh or Goodyear rubber. Into turn 1, Hewitt and Duggar set to go wheel to wheel for the second spot. Duggar very good on the outside off of turn 1. And Duggar with the advantage for right now, able to clear, try and get the toll down the long pond stretch. You got Reeves racing with Freeman, position number 5 as well at the same time, and drivers on fresher tires jockeying at it for 8th on back.
Looking at a bad exit coming out of turn number 2, a little bit farther behind. That's going to create a big logjam effect down into turn number 3. It's good to go side by side through here. Maybe not so good to go 3 wide. I have a feeling that would be a bit more hair raising than these drivers probably want at this stage of the race. Look at the number 9.
Let's go to the lead.
Of Alvarez involved in that.
Go to the race lead here, Alan Duggar, side by side with Baxter. Into turn number 1, and again, Duggar's preferred line, the Duggar line, digging it deep there through 1. But Baxter got back on the throttle there. First contact, meanwhile, for 4th between Hewitt and Reeves. They keep it straight. Freeman forced to check up. Everything's good in the back, but up front, though, Duggar trying to grab the lead. He clears Baxter going into turn 2.
A nice move down the backstretch off into turn 2. That is how you get it done. Looking at some side-by-side racing going on a little bit farther in the back of the pack. The midfield is usually where the drama takes place, and you got 2 rather ill-handling race cars involved in all that as well. Alvarez and the number 6 you've got on screen right now. They're running practically nose to tail, and those have been the 2 who have had some very ill-handling cars up to this point in the race. So they need to keep tabs on this just to see if there's any sort of drama. The car's coming back to bite them again.
Nice job for the top 3. They've been able to scurry out of this. Now they've opened up a gap between Baxter and Hewitt. 1 second is now Sanchez. Looks for 2nd, just about kisses the wall off of turn 1 and keeps it going. This restart did not pay big dividends for a lot of drivers, for the ones that took tires. Josh Switzer, though, how about this? After a couple of spins to get the day started, he's recovered pretty well. He's in 5th.
Looking like a pretty okay recovery drop from him. That's another thing that I mentioned right towards the start of the show, talking about being able to compartmentalize different parts of your brain and say, you know, I may be down, but I'm not entirely out. You can have a handling race car in the early stages, but keep it in the racetrack and you're going to be good. I saw a big bit of wall contact behind.
Yeah, it was from what we're seeing on your screen right now. Reeves and Alvarez giving each other a couple of smooches across the start-finish line. In that race for 7th, Reeves able to clear the 19, but I'm sure Alvarez won't be too pleased at that. Nesta and Best also trying to party too. Remember, 3 of those drivers took fresh tires. Reeves is on scuffs at the moment.
See those drivers tapping the wall as well as they headed their way down the backstretch. Have seen a large amount of wall contact up to this point with the composite bodies on these next-gen cars. Won't have to worry about damage too badly, but again, this is a track where you got a lot of speed down into some of these turns, and you have to rely on the aero sensitivity of that race car. Any sort of turn up of the fenders on these cars can really mess you up, so I'm a little bit surprised that we're seeing these drivers play it as fast and loose as they are with the walls around here.
Top 3 still nose to tail. Its Best looks underneath on Nesta for the 8th spot. Race for the lead. Sanchez peeked underneath on Duggar, but could not get it to stick, and it may cost him even more. Here goes Baxter. Sideways though. Best off for 1. He keeps her straight, but way in front of them. Change for 2nd. Baxter hanging on over the 22 for right now, and here comes Hewitt and the 11 looking for 3rd.
As you can see, scraping up against the wall there. A big moment out of the turn. I knew that was going to end in tears down into the turn. I could just tell that that car was probably going to scrape up against the wall. The white monster car looking for a jolt of energy at some point between now and the end of this race, and hoping, much like the flavor itself, it can be clean and citrusy to be able to do well in this race. Keep that run going strong and try to avoid the barrier.
Are you assuming they're supposed to be like 7-Up, crisp and clean?
I will say, I am saying this as someone who has never had a like full can of White Monster. I've taken a few sips of it. I believe it is meant to be like vaguely citrusy flavored.
Yes, so that is 7-Up.
Got it.
Sanchez still all over Baxter in the race for the runner-up position. A lot of great racing happening all over this track. Let's go back to 6th, Reeves and Freeman. Once again, they drag race through Milwaukee. And off the corner, 2 drivers with scuffed tires at the moment. Reeves through, hangs on to 6th for right now. So the moral here, pretty much from what we have learned here through stage number 2, pitting for 9 laps of freshened tires doesn't seem to be the name of the game. You really want that clean air. That's your best friend. Here goes Baxter again for the race lead.
Yeah, let's see how the other track advantage game is going to help out these racers. You brought up a great point there, Marty, talking about the clean air. Super important here at Pocono. Air a little bit thinner as we get up into the mountains. I saw this stat on the NASCAR Cup broadcast at Mexico City last weekend. Pocono still in that top 5 of the highest racetracks. Oh, that was a huge hit.
Whoa, hang on.
That wall.
That's Alvarez, the 19, that has to hang on to it. And that probably broke Bennett's toe link, if not broke it, off that number 19. He'll be dealing with that for the rest of this race.
That was a huge hit for both of them as well. They both pancaked that outside wall. They're staying out there on the racetrack, which I am honestly dumbfounded about, Marty. That was a huge hit for the both of them. You see the front fender damage for the both of those race cars. You can just see it's wrinkled up a little bit on that front right.
Let's go back up front, though. Back up to the front, Baxter challenging Duggar for the race lead. They drag race down to Long Pond Straight. Corner advantage here for Baxter. Look at Sanchez trying to avoid hitting the bumper. My goodness, look at this race. Make it 4-car gaggle. William Hewitt into this mess. This is some good stuff here at Pocono, Ron.
Yeah, this is some very good stuff. I have a feeling this is going to go from a 2-car battle into a 3 in the not too far off future. As look at Sanchez right there within striking distance.
Oh, watch this.
Side by side. Oh, yeah.
Don't be surprised. Here we go. 3 wide for the lead. This is some dang good stuff here. Hewitt's like, yeah, I'll just back out. I'll just take it from here. And Baxter forced to left. Sanchez can't go 2 for 1. Maybe he can through turn number 1. Can Sanchez take it off the corner? He tries to clear. Doesn't have him. Oh, my.
Holy cow, it is still not done between these 3 racers. Look at the 10, that's Baxter trying to think about getting a move done down into turn number 2. Not close enough, as here comes the 4th place car. The rear gunner in this pack. It is now 4-car battle for this race win with 44 laps on the board. So a lot of time left to go in this race, with these drivers treating every single lap as if it's the last.
Baxter dives it downstairs in Mama's basement deep. But couldn't find any speed through there. We complete lap number 145 as we now have 8 laps to go in stage number 2. That's your top 4. Josh Switzer, highest on the fresher tires in 5th spot right now. I wanted to go back as we got this race again. Sanchez with a second test. Off at turn 1, pulls up to the door. Now who does Baxter go with? He decides to go with his fellow Toyota man.
These two kind of working together as pseudo teammates down into the turn. You still got the 22 on the inside, though, giving a bit of a headache to him, as you can see, trying to rip the wall around the outside. Holds on to the race lead for now, does Alan Duggar, but this fight I still don't think is going to fully cool off until probably the end of the stage.
This is one of the best battles we have seen on the day so far, and we're not even at the halfway point here at Pocono. This is the battle you typically see in the final laps. Trouble! Switzer spins on the front straightaway. Caution waves.
And yet
it's gone from
of the 6.
And it's gone from bad to worse. for the driver of the number 6.
I gotta wonder, it had to have been handling. If it's a tap, I would be rather surprised. Look, a little bit of damage on the front end of that race car as well. So I'm not sure if he was entirely alone in all of this drama. May need to load up a replay to see what happened to him. Things going from bad to worse to even worse or still for him. Currently the last car still out there on the racetrack. And let's take a look at this replay, Marty, as he heads his way through 3.
Yeah, it just snapped sideways. And he tried everything to save it, but just didn't work out. Didn't have a lot of hands in it. So I was just riding on board with Switzer. But 3rd accident of the night. Number 6, and it just goes from bad to worse. Suffered some front end damage. Now this is where it gets interesting. Do you flip the stage and get the track position out front to begin stage number 3? Or do you decide to go for the stage points here? Remember, half the field will get the points here after stage 2, so there will be some time left in the stage when we come back to green.
And you know, if it were me, I would probably prioritize...
Oh, and Switzer just spun again. Switzer just spun again. Coming down to pit road. I think it's because pit road was closed. And he had to make a heavy crank on the right. Yeah, red lights were on the pit entrance. But I mean, regardless, I would have pitted at that time. You'd speed tail on. There you see it right there. Watch this. Man.
Couple of feet there between himself and the sand barrels at the end of pit lane. That could have been a lot more worse than it already was.
All right, so let's see who decides to come in this time. Do you take the tires and flip? Or do you decide to stay out? If I'm at this point, I'd flip. I want the lead to begin stage 3, honestly, in my opinion.
And to the point that I was going to raise a couple of moments ago before we saw that spin for the 6 trying to come down pit lane, if it were me, I would prioritize race wins just for the simple sake that we've already seen 9 race winners up to this point in the season. Probably a good idea to prioritize that.
Sanchez fakes it out, and stuck in alone is Alan Duggar.
And look at some of those close calls as those drivers decide to play the dummy and avoid coming down pit lane. The 12 gonna be all by himself down to the pits.
Yeah, Duggar got baited out. Hagelin, Alvarez, Nesta, Orr, Osborne, and Switzer also come in. A little bit similar to our host of our baited Keselowski coming on to pit road earlier today.
You know, when I saw that, I was thinking of Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch at Charlotte many moons ago, and I think they crashed down pit lane and everyone essentially looked at them and said, ha, dumb butt. Can't say the actual thing that they
yeah, you can't.
But yeah, that's exactly what popped into my mind when I saw something like that. So when look at the 22, I just realized the 0 calories per can logo right underneath the other driver's helmet. That is fantastic.
But you know, thinking about this, if I'm Duggar, I think I kind of like the situation I'm in at the moment because, you know, top 9 did not pit. Should he come through out front as the race leader, he would obviously have a couple laps to pit early, but remember the fuel window here, 36 laps, so you're looking at probably around, you're actually looking pretty good right now to make it on 1 stop, honestly. It would be somewhere with under 20 laps to go, so you're pitting on lap 47, you're probably in a comfortable situation, Ron.
And I think, to the point that I raised a couple of moments ago, I feel like it'll be beneficial to these racers to maybe focusing on being good at the end of this race. Set yourself up well for that checkered flag on lap 104, because as I said, with the amount of race winners we've had up to this point this season, I feel like we may end up having more than 16 at the end of this regular season. So if it were me, I would maybe prioritize going for that race win, but again, that's just me. There's a very good reason why I'm behind the microphone instead of behind the wheel.
Amen to that, brother. Lights should go off the iRacing pace car. We'll have 3 to go in stage 2, and a new leader when we come back to green, the Monster Energy 0 Calorie 22 of Joshua Sanchez, as he's dealing with some internet issues. All is good though on his ride as of right now. Ping's at 83. One of the lower pings we actually have. So he restarts next to Trevor Baxter. That's row number 1. Behind them is Will Hewitt, Michael Reeves. That's row 2. Thomas Freeman, Chris Essery on row number 3. Daniel Best, Michael Kurdzielek on row 4 with Brian Burchett, Alan Duggar rounding out the top 10. As right now we have 3 drivers out of the race: Danny Carpenter, Brian Wasserman, and Doug Essel. If you're watching live on Maconi Entertainment, let us know who you're rooting for. Glad to have Virginia checking in. Hoping for Miguel Alvarez to improve after he led early in this race. And same for Hernan. The Alvarez fan base has showed up tonight, that's for sure.
And I see some support for some of the drivers that we've got in this series and in this race shown up there in the YouTube chat. I thought they were 3 wide going Indy formation here at Pocono. You know, years and years and years ago, back during some of the first IndyCar races here at Pocono, this track was basically just as hyped up and just as popular as the Indy 500 was at the time. And as much as Pocono never really saw that same sort of popularity and longevity that the Indy 500 has had when it came to IndyCar racing here, certainly got that when it comes to the NASCAR world. Those races are sellouts every single year, and I gotta make that trip up there one day. Every single time I've gone up to Pocono, with one exception, I have always been the one racing. So I need to make a trip up there and just enjoy it as a fan.
Baxter trying to read, but he's getting a push from Michael Reeves. We come back to green, they stack up, and man, Baxter nearly got spun off the fender of William Hewitt, but no harm, no foul. All is good as we set up into turn 1 here. It's Hewitt and Reeves that race for 3rd. Top 5 all pitted on lap 24. Chris Essery pitted on lap 33. Alan Duggar and the trouble from the leader. Sanchez goes around, and that likely will put an end to stage 2.
And it's another leader of this race running into some difficulties. He gets that car back up and rolling, but you can see the big damage to the front end of that race car for Sanchez. That was a huge moment coming out of the turn. That's going to just about give it to the number 12. But man, big kick in the shins for the 22.
Yeah, there was some contact between the top 2, and so that'll end stage number 2. Trevor Baxter take the green-white checkered in just a moment. Obviously not without controversy. Is first off, this is the restart what happened, where there was just a lot of wild chaos there. You see here that's Sanchez just trying to break the draft here at the same time, and then we'll see Baxter here going to determine what I like to call as a WWE fan, yeet.
I'm not really sure what to say to that. Oh yeah, you can see that
He yeeted
contact being made coming out of the turn. Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Hopefully Sanchez not a lot of time to repair the damage. They've given the EOL to Trevor Baxter, for those wondering at home. And so with that gives Will Hewitt the stage win instead. Big turn of events out of stage number 2, that's for sure.
Oh, as we nearly saw a crash under yellow between the 22 and the 44. But gotta say, I think that is a justified penalty for all of that. It sucks to have that happen, but hey, it's good to get that penalty out of the way now and just be able to hit the final stage with a lot of momentum instead of just kind of stalling and waiting for the sentence to be read out, so to speak, between now and the end of the race.
So everyone should come in this time.
Here they come.
Everyone except Michael Reeves and Josh Switzer. So I bet you they want this. They want the playoff point here instead. So Michael Reeves would come out with the stage win instead, because we haven't finished stage 2 technically. So we'll check here with race control in just a moment.
Oh, I think we just saw the 22 slightly overshoot his pit stall a little bit. I'm not sure if you saw that as well, Marty. I think I saw him back up a little bit to try and actually hit his pit stall properly. And away comes most of the drivers down pit lane, but that is going to be a big mistake. We talk about the mistakes out there on the road, but the ones on pit road can be just as detrimental, if not even more so, than the other mistakes made out there on track, doubly so in a series of pit stops like this.
So Duggar won the race on pit road. He took fuel only. Rest took 4 tires. Hewitt second, Essery third, Freeman fourth, Best fifth, Kurdzielak sixth, Hegland seventh, Burchett eighth, Baxter ninth, and Osborne 10th. And so we'll step aside here for the ending of stage number 2. We'll see who restarts at the leader when we come back in just a moment. Door Cup Series racing at Pocono. Stay with us.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need, Maconi.
With the launch of Maconi Entertainment and Maconi Competizone alongside Maconi's Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MaconiSetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at Maconi Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Set for the restart here for our final stage. Field making their way through turns number 2. Bryce Cal alongside Ron Mons with you, with Christian Hill up in mission control. Set for the final stage to take place, where we have 52 laps to go. We are halfway home in this one. Here's the situation. Michael Reeves, Josh Schwitzer restart as the race leader. They elected it to stay out under the stage 2 break. William Hewitt and Alan Duggar row number 2. Chris Essery, Thomas Freeman row 3. Daniel Best, Michael Kurdzielak in row 4. Thomas Hegland, Brian Burchett round out the top 10 as we get set to come back to the green flag. Now, something to keep in mind here with William Reeves, with Michael Reeves, I should say, hasn't pitted since lap number 24. There's a 36 lap window here, so we should expect him around lap 60. So I don't know how long he's going to hang on to this race lead for, but he'll try, that's for sure. Alan Duggar, though, Ron, biggest winner on this restart because of that stage 2 yellow, was able to come in, top off on fuel, match it with the rest of the leaders, not even have fresh, but just about the same level of fresher tires because we didn't complete a green flag lap there. And so Duggar on the pace.
Oh, and someone just had a big sideways snap coming through turn number 2. I was going to say, in reference to the strategy call from Reeves, the inevitable run down pit lane that driver will have to make here in the not too far off future. If there's any track where you should be betting on an early yellow after one of these restarts, it's got to be Pocono. As someone I think just...
Terry Orhart in the wall. No caution flag because he's in the pits.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'm not sure whether that was an undignified call to come down pit lane or if he just lost it in the vague direction of pit lane coming out of turn number 3. That's exactly what happened there. And if that moment hang through turn number 2, I got to say, I think my conviction is rather correct there in terms of all the tracks to try and hope for a yellow right after a restart. Pocono probably at the tippy top of that list.
Totally, that wreck looking a lot similar to what happened in 2015 with John Burton and Casey Kane when they got loose off of turn 3 and went into the pit entrance. Remember, they've extended that wall a couple hundred feet back to prevent it from happening. Here we go for the race lead. Duggar downstairs on Reeves, can't pull up to the door just yet.
These drivers nose to tail as they head their way down that start-finish stretch off into turn number 1. Here comes the 22 now with the dive into 1.
Yeah, Sanchez underneath on Essery in the race for the 5th position. And now you've got Switzer back in the thick of things. That last the yellow he caused, was luckily able to come in on pit road and get tires. Now he's on the same level as the top 2 as they start to battle it out for the race lead. But the thing Switzer's got to make sure he's careful about is his handling, because his car easily gets sideways. He's had 2 or 3 spins on the day so far.
And let's see how these drivers are going to be able to tackle the final stage
for the
of
lead.
The race.
Duggar underneath. He's trying to make it look easy off of turn 3 with those fresher tires. At the line, it's Reeves by a bumper. And Duggar doesn't have his line here in turn 1. Remember, Ron, he's been very good on the high side, but he drives it in deep, sent it!
Oh,
takes the spot away.
Go. That is a gutsy move if ever you see it, to jump into the spot. Now we've got a fight, maybe got a flare up involving Michael Reeves and Schwitzer heading down the back stretch. Hoping to see that number 6 car have a lot better handling, because he looked quicker in the earlier stages, then sort of dropped back with those handling woes that spun out a couple of times already in this race. It's looking that here in the second half you won't have that many difficulties for him, as it looks like he may be sizing up a move here down to turn number 3.
Switzer for the 2nd spot. Will be the highest he's been in this race so far this evening. And William Hewitt trying to grab 3rd as well at the same time. A 3-car battle here for P2. It does take 3 to tango here at Pocono.
Yeah, and we have got 3 cars just battling tooth and nail, giving us a fantastic show at this point in the race. And to all of you tuning us to this broadcast, if you're enjoying it, have it hit that subscribe button and the notification.
Trouble, there goes the 00. Hard to the inside wall. And the 6 also collected. Everyone's got to take evasive action.
I wonder if everyone got away from that incident without collecting either of those 2. Oh, I'm not sure who that was who just had to lock him up big time heading down the backstretch. But whoever did probably needs a change of tires and a change of pants afterwards. That is big. That's a big break there for Michael Reeves. He probably was hoping for the yellow. The bad news is I don't think he wanted to be the cause of it.
Caution flag number, I believe this is 5 here this evening. And we have had an update on someone with an internet issue as well. Daniel Best, moments ago, had a packet loss issue and is now back in the race, but 3 laps down. Here's a look what happened off of turn number 1. Again, very hard racing going on here for this 2nd position, and you'll just watch the 00. So he goes just a little bit up the hill, then you'll see him, I think he just scrapes the wall here off the corner before the contact. Yeah, 6 car there of Switzer just catches him and tries to hang on to it, and I think the cold brown moment goes to William Hewitt, as he nearly was involved in that accident too. That car, by the way, you were referring to, that was Tommy Osborne, the 44 run, that had that very close call. The onboard here with the 11.
I was just going to say, talking about Tommy Osborne, I'm pretty sure I could hear the screaming from the cockpit just from the cameras that we have on the side of the screen. As you can see, that stacking up. That wall right there bounced the 00 into the side of the 6. The 6 drifting up, and oh man, that was just a big... That's the thing. You see that kind of incident a lot here at Pocono, especially coming out of turn number 1. Like a pack of dominoes, down they all fall. One driver hits the wall, then the other driver bounces into them. It's like a mix of a Noon's Cradle and those knocker balls that you see on the Jersey Shore.
I think we should give a is Duggar, I think actually, is he going to come on pit road? Nope, stays out. Just having fun. I think we should give a hello as well to Will Hewitt's mom. Go back to that onboard, Christian, while we're live, if you can. I know I'm bringing the 4th wall there. You see that? Hi, Mom. Perfect, perfect use of shoutouts.
That's rather smooth. I like the inclination of that.
I like it. You can't even see it on the live. You can't even see them when we're on our TV cams either, unless you look very closely and have a heck of a monitor. Couple of drivers paying the top off on fuel here. Tommy Osborne, Miguel Alvarez, James Nesta, Michael Reeves, and Josh Schwitzer. Terry Orr as well, still stuck on pit road after he had that heavy impact under the green flag. So we're on lap 60. This is going to make things very interesting for those drivers that are pitting. They'll be about 5 laps short on fuel here. Remember the fuel window, 36 laps. Would expect your top 9 that last pitted under the stage brake, would expect them to come in somewhere around 15 to go or something like that. So this could make things interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be rather interesting right towards the end of this race. These yellows falling at a time where these drivers came down pit lane now. They would not be able to make it to the end. If we have a couple more restart yellows, though, that may set these drivers up perfectly for a quick little 30-lap dash all the way through to the fall of the checkered flag. Would you want to find yourself in a really comfortable spot, though? Do you wait out this yellow and kind of wait for one to come a little bit farther down the line? Maybe wait about 10 laps before we make that call to pit? What would you do in this situation, Marty? If it were me, I would maybe decide to risk it and wait for a yellow to come out a little bit later on before I make that call to pit.
Well, it's tough to say. You and I were on the broadcast on Friday night for Friday Night Lights, and I brought up that you, on a long run, if we see it here, you really want to try and undercut the leader here. Try and go about a lap earlier than the leader. And we saw that happen. Almost worked out. Very close to working out for the guy. He eventually won the race that tried the undercut strategy out, but did not work coming out. You always want to try and undercut the leader because it's so easy to gain an advantage here before then. However, though, the big risk you take is you could get trapped tail under the field or a lap down if we go under the yellow flag.
See the drivers nearly making door-to-door contact through the first turn under yellow. Gonna be getting this race restarted here in a couple of moments. I'm gonna have 43 laps left to go. I nearly said 33 laps left to go. We'll have to wait for that in about 10 laps time. But yeah, it's gonna be a real test of these drivers. See how well they've set themselves up. See how well they've set their cars up as well. You can definitely tell the difference in confidence between these racers right on these restarts. You can see some that are feeling good and others that are walking around on eggshells on some of these restarts. I find that section, that kind of feature of races here at Pocono to be rather fascinating. You can just see the difference in confidence level for these racers. My background's mainly from road course stuff, and you can usually see the different levels of confidence that a racer has on a road course. You can see it on the oval as well, and I think really on the ovals, that's where it's a bit more prevalent. So let's see who's going to be confident on this restart, who's going to be able to ace the gear shifts, ace the turns, and be able to make up a couple of spots.
Top 9, stay out. Duggar and Hewitt, row number 1. Sanchez and Essery, row number 2. Thomas Hegland running out the top 5. Remember, Sanchez recovered after he was spun at the end of stage 2. Keep in mind as well, Baxter's fought back pretty well after getting sent to the tail 4, spinning out the 22 as we're back to the green flag here. And Duggar has checked out of the hotel on Hewitt, set his entry up into turn 1.
To a flyer of a restart.
Ooh, hang on, Sanchez.
Oh man, that was a big moment for the 22.
Was hanging on there for dear life. 3 wide in the back. Meanwhile, but no harm, no foul. Baxter through the 4th spot, past Sanchez. They're still side by side in Indianapolis. Freeman looking for that run on Hegland. One driver getting tight. That was Switzer again in the 6. Well, let's watch Baxter as he catches Essery in the race for P3.
They're not quite side by side. They had their way out of the turn, but still nose to tail on corner exit. You gotta look to maybe get a run down the start-finish stretch and look for a move down into turn number 1. Let's see if he pounces or if he decides to remain into that spot. Down into the turn, looks like they still stay line of stern.
And now we're seeing different lines by the top two, and it's ironic. Duggar using the low line. Hewitt up top, and it cost him a little bit as he cracks the wall off of one. And now a change for 30, or Baxter takes it away. And Sanchez says, I want to play too. I'm not sure if Esri caught the wall or not that couple moments ago, but the number 4 ride is falling down to 5th on the charts.
Oh, as you can see, some drivers scraping the wall as well coming out of turn number 2. Those wall taps are becoming such a common occurrence here in this race. These drivers getting to the point where they're getting to the end and starting to throw caution to the wind. Will that be a winning strategy? Remains to be determined. All I know for sure is that these drivers have a lot of racing action still left to go, and at least one pit stop guaranteed between now and the end of this race. Blinking a little bit in and out of existence there coming out of turn number 3 there. Hopefully those connection issues won't wreak havoc to any battles out there on the racing surface. It can happen though when you're side by side with a car who's blinking wildly in and out of existence. You're definitely gonna tend to take it a bit easier, wouldn't you say?
Josh Sanchez, quickest lap of the race, 52.96. Trevor Baxter working his best lap today at a 53 even. Track time starting to go down here in Long Pond as right now it's set at 89 degrees as things stand. And we'll see how they do compared to the top 2. They're still matching the race pace. They're not better than the leader's pace of Alan Duggar at the moment.
These racers heading their way down that start-finish straightaway, basically in a giant line. I think they're deciding to take it a little bit calm. We have to worry about that final pit stop, that window opening up here in a couple of laps' time. And I think these drivers fully realize that, they accept it, and they're saying, you know what, no point in risking it for the biscuit or risking it for the Triscuit if they are feeling the low-calorie option. No point of really deciding to be racy at this point in time. Just wait for that pit stop. Try and set yourself up well for the end of this race. It's good to get some style points, but at the same time, style points don't pay. Winning this race does. So I think these drivers have their eyes on that instead of the former option.
Here's Baxter all over Hewitt again. Baxter, the quickest lap of the race, this time of 52.92. Challenges for the 2 spot on the 11. They're side by side down the longest straightaway in the Cup Series these days. It's Hewitt by a nose, but Baxter with a better line to set up in turn 1.
Here they go down into the turn. Who's going to win out in this battle? It's looking good there as a swapperoo down into the turn. I think they're going to be single filed out fully. I don't think the car beyond is going to have a run, so I think that's Baxter moving his way up into a solid P2.
So Baxter up to 2nd. Sanchez still 4th. Esri hanging on to 5th over Thomas Hegland at the moment. Again, drivers still have to make one more stop here in this race. We're not near, we've got 35 laps to go. So, no, I'm sorry, not 35 laps to go, 39 laps to go. So the pit window opens in a couple laps, but you want to make sure you have some extra fuel in the tank just in case we do have to go to overtime. Have a couple of green-white checkers if needed. And so we'll just have to see what happens. Let's go to Esri and Hegland. That's the race for 5th position. In fact, the 99 car just tapped the wall for a moment.
See these racers slowly but surely whittling the laps away, and we start to see these front 3 break away and form their own little pack. That's a wall scrape from the 6 a little bit farther in the back. A shot I can just see down the corner of my eye, a big puff of smoke up against that safer barrier. But these front 3 breaking away and forming their own little battle right now, as the drivers farther behind are the ones that I've got my attention on, because they are still getting so flirtatious with the safer barriers around this racetrack. More and more, I'm just starting to see these drivers skate up the track. It's not even a matter of being too tight or too loose into the turn. It just looks like the front and rear tires just both decide to give out and they drift up into the wall. But as I've been talking about, the battling a little bit farther in the back of this camera shot, we've got one in the focus of it, a battle for the race lead. Look at those 2 drivers practically nose to tail.
Yeah, the gap between Hewitt and Sanchez just about 1.1 seconds at the moment. So without question, these are your 3 fastest cars on the speedway by far. We just have yet to see how a long run will go at the moment. While we were at it, I'd like to thank one of our sponsors, Kinetic Gaming, proud partner of the Door Racing League. Make sure you visit their website at kineticgaming.com. Again, proud sponsor of Door Racing League. And of course, we thank them for their support. Their indie game studio, I believe it is, focusing on nope, I'm sorry. A lot of people have those names, that's for sure. So
I will say one thing for sure, fantastic to have some sponsors here for this brilliant racing action, which is getting close at the front of the field yet again. Baxter holding on to the race lead. Some wall scraping still farther in the back. I don't know, Marty, I just don't have a good feeling about those drivers a little bit farther behind. We're still short enough into a run where these drivers are trying to settle into a groove. And I don't know why, I just have a feeling that it's going to be an instant a little bit farther in the back that may force these drivers' hands and send them down pit lane at the end of this race.
when you look at the pit windows right now, top 6, about 20 laps into this run. Drivers like Alvarez, for example, in the 7th spot, and then Switzer and Nesta, for example, they're just over 10 laps into this run. And why don't we give Alvarez some credit here? Was leading early in this race, then had that big moment off of turn number 3, luckily was able to save it. Then had an accident in the race. He's rebounded, currently in that 7th spot. Not the day he's wanted that number 19. You see the right front is a little bit crunched up on the fender. But Alvarez, 7th in the number 19 car. Great run for him. Great comeback, I should say, at least.
A very good comeback. As I said a little bit earlier on in this broadcast, Marty, talking about how important it is in a race like this to just take it up the chin, so to speak. You know, if you have a bad start to this race, just say, you know what, that happened, but I've got the rest of this race to look forward to, and really be able to push hard without having to worry about what happened in the earlier stages. We've seen some drivers be able to do that well. We've seen some other drivers struggle when it comes to that. But what we do know for certain is that to win a race here at Pocono takes a lot of different things. It takes a good driver, a good race car, and a good mindset as well. This is a track that can really test every single facet of a driver's skill, both in the sim and in real life. I think we've seen a lot of that thus far tonight.
Let's go to the race for second. Hewitt challenging on Duggar for the spot. Closest he has been on the spoiler for right now. Well,
here we go. I think he has a good run, potentially midway through the turn. The 12 on the high side, though, just got to keep that momentum rolling out the turn.
yeah, you just cannot give Duggar the high side or else he will have a very good run.
Let's see who's going to be able to play this game the best. I think just keeping stuck to that high side seems to be the advantageous spot to be in thus far. We've seen the drivers be able to play that so well up to this point in time, Marty, and there are no doubts in my mind that we are going to be seeing that as the meta, so to speak, that's played all throughout the final stages of this race. Getting into crunch time, we are not terribly far away from the checkered flag here at Pocono this evening, not too terribly far away from pit stop starting. I think we may have just seen, was that potentially the number 19 making that call to pit? Yes, it was.
They'll have, yep, Alvarez makes his way onto pit road. And with the way things are looking, he should be good to make it to the end, just as long as that this race doesn't have a couple of overtimes. So window is open for drivers if they want to pit. Obviously, the drivers that are pitting on lap number 59 then go a little extra. We should expect, though, your top 7 drivers, though, in about 12 to 15 laps, I'd say at least.
And away he goes. That's going to be a rather good stop there from the number 19. The driver who's doing oh so well earlier on in this race. Things not working out for him ever since he lost the race lead, but getting a good result out of this race is still going to be a good day in the office as far as I'm concerned. Look at the drivers who are still out there on the racetrack, getting a little bit closer. I think we are getting to that stage where these drivers are saying, you know what, pit stops are near, I may as well try and force this issue a little bit more. I'm not saying these drivers are going to be going 5 wide anytime soon, and that's the time where we cut to a camera angle of someone doing that, as that's a big wall tap coming out of turn number 1. These drivers are starting to push that envelope a bit more.
Yeah, it's Kurt Zielak you're watching on your screen that takes out the wall. No harm, no foul as he races James Nesta for the 9th spot, and now Nesta gets into the wall here. Remember the 29, fresher tires by a couple laps compared to the 41. That last yellow. Now we see William Hewitt in the 11 make his way down pit road. Pit road speed at 55 miles an hour. All is good on the 11, no issues on his entry. Josh Switzer also joins him in, but he locks them up, but still good at 55. Again, window is open for drivers to come in to go the distance. So drivers, I think at the same time, they are trying to set up the undercut here on both Baxter and Duggar at the same time.
And I wonder if that will be the call that works out well for these racers. There's still a lot of time left to go in this race, and a lot of time for random things to happen. If we have a caution at this point in the race, really got to shuffle up how things go in the midst of a pit cycle. More drivers making that call to come down pit lane at the present moment. Let's see if any more racers make that call to pit this time by following Headland in the number 99 car, currently slotted in P6. Very slow in quarter exit. Yes, that will be a call to pit for the number 99. So these pit stops slowly but surely continuing on. It's a slow trickle to be sure, but a slow trickle nonetheless.
It comes on pit road. I think the driver I'm keeping my eye on here on this round of pit stops is Josh Sanchez. Right in third, he's 1.8 seconds behind Trevor Baxter, and he's been right near the front. He's had a car that's been fast at times. I think if he tries the undercut stop out possibly, that it could work out for the 22 to close in on this gap and may have a chance of a lead.
Yeah, that 22 car, he is just about inevitable in this race. We have always seen him in contention for it. Even when he's been down, he hasn't been 100% out of it. Let's see what this number 22 car and 22 team can do at the end of it all. Goes back to the point I've raised already throughout this show, and I will say this once again. Just being mentally strong in a race like this can be what wins it out for you at the end of the day. So Josh Sanchez, when he's been down, he hasn't counted himself fully out of it, and that sort of mindset can be a big one, and a good one to have at Pocono.
Up of the wall, Daniel Best in the 5, we're all is good there. Let's go back to Kurt Zielak and Nesta. 41 car making a pass about a minute ago to take away the 6th spot here, but obviously all depending on pit stops. Tommy Osborne now, the next guy on pit road in the 44. And now we'll see who comes in. Right now at this moment here, Ron, it's just pretty much like a game of chess. Who waits to stay out the latest? And now we see the leader come on to pit road. Trevor Baxter, let's cover his stop. Good on pit road entry for him. And so I don't feel like you really want to do the overcut here at this point, because then you'll just lose a lot more track time. Only benefit is you'll have fresher tires, but what we've learned tonight here, Ron, is you want track position here.
Yeah, you absolutely do. Get some clean air on that splitter and be able to command your own race. You know, even with the dirty air notwithstanding, just following a driver can be rather demoralizing. You get caught up in their own drama. If they overshoot the turn, you're probably going to follow in suit there as well. It's just basic target fixation, so it's good to jump out to the race lead. And of course, coming to the end of this race, you'll want to be the race leader. Trevor Baxter now out and away. Currently finds himself still inside the top.
Sanchez in.
6th.
No, actually, Duggar correction is now on to pit road. I tell you what, let's bring up a track map if we can and show you where Duggar is compared to the number 12 of Baxter. If we cannot, no worries here. Apologies for breaking the 4th wall and 3rd wall. But Duggar on pit road, no issues. And oh, he overshot the box. Duggar overshot his pit box, and that's not what he's going to want for sure. There you see Baxter, he's making his way into turn number 3. Duggar, and I don't see the car on the jack. I think Duggar got busted for speeding. And now he's on the jack.
And that is a super easy mistake.
Yeah, it's a big loss.
Pocono. Yeah, a big loss for sure, and an easy mistake to make as well. coming into the pits here at Pocono, you are having to battle like hell to get that car back down to pit lane speed. And unfortunately, they're not going to ace that at all is a driver, the number 15. He's out and away now, albeit he lost out on a boatload of time. As
Caution flag waves for Hewitt. This is going to be interesting now. Oh boy. Thomas Freeman, the race leader, and he's left 11 on the lead lap. And so we've yet to see 3 drivers to the pit. This is going to be a big benefactor, I believe, for Sanchez, because he's already on pit road. Now the freshest tires amongst the bunch. So I believe in this situation, Sanchez should come through as the race leader. Can he beat out Baxter, though, on the Exxon pit road? No, he cannot. He's stuck with a longer stop, too. Or no, pardon me, he's repairing damage. So if we go on that, Sanchez, though, gets stuck out, and the big winner in this perhaps will be Baxter, followed by Essery and Alvarez. So we've yet to see Freeman and Burchett pit. But the yellow flag, though, let's look at the big picture here. Flies for William Hewitt. Here's look at what happened. And that is the Baxter, the provisional leader, behind him on the fresher tires.
As we take a look at this replay,
He just lost it.
Yeah, ooh, yeah, you can see that moment heading his way through turn number 1 and bang,
A hard
into the wall.
hit.
That was a huge hit right to the end of that safer barrier. I was going to apologize for the substantial whack that I think I picked up on the microphone there from me dropping my glass of water onto my desk. Thankfully, I did not spill a drop, so we are good to go. This, however, not going to be a good line. Coming out of turn number 1, loses it and hits just about the worst spot that he could have. Bang, there he goes. You can see that front left tire, the fender popping off. That car is ready for the scrap heap after that moment.
Very lucky, though, that he only sustained left side damage and that he was able to drive away from the scene. So as we're near 20 to go, this will definitely make things interesting. Not the yellow, I feel like, in my opinion, if you're a guy like Tommy Osborne or Josh Switzer. Free pass, though, goes to the 44, so he'll get back on the lead lap. Switzer, though, trapped a lap down following that situation. But we'll have to see the 17 and the 3 come on in, and so Baxter will become the new leader here on this restart. This yellow really helps out, though. Chris Essery, as I was going to say Miguel Alvarez, yep, he stays out, so big winners there under that yellow, the 4 and the 19 here, Ron.
Yeah, huge benefactors as a result of that yellow. We were thinking how much a yellow could really alter the way this race is going to shake out. And hey, that just about proved our point right there. That is a huge twist to this race. A massive wrench thrown in the works, if you would. The real question is, though, who's going to be able to manage this challenge the best? Who's going to take it up the chin and just be able to roll with the punches? And who's really going to be mentally done as a result of this yellow? We talk about the mind games a lot throughout this race here at Pocono today, but I think the mind games are rather important here. This is a track where it's a tough race to manage. You've got 3 different corners, you've got a long racetrack, you've got a lot of different stuff to manage in your own head, and it can just eat away at your brain as a race like this goes on.
I'll tell you, while we're at it here, let's step aside, take a quick break. As we've got over 20 laps to go. Crunch time coming up in just a moment as we're inside the final parts of this race. Baxter the leader when we come back on Maconi Entertainment.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need, Maconi.
With the launch of Maconi Entertainment and Maconi Competizone alongside Maconi's Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MaconiSetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at Maconi Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
That here for the restart. 21 to go. We come back to green here at Pocono for the Door Racing League Cup Series. Marcella, Ron Mons, and Christian Hill with you. Reminder for next week, the Cup Series will be at Atlanta Motor Speedway, June 29th. 8 p.m. as always, right here on your home for Door Cup action. Of course, is Maconi Entertainment. Big week, obviously, down. I'm sorry, did I say Atlanta Motor Speedway? I meant Echo Park Raceway. I know, there's a new name. Ron and I won't get used to it. It'll always be AMS to us in our hearts. So, but regardless, Trevor Baxter, Chris Essery, front row, back to green, 21 to go. Not the yellow you wanted if you're Alan Duggar or Josh Sanchez. Obviously, William Hewitt at the same time with the traffic in front. Astori Alvarez, Kurdzielak, Hagelin, the bigger winners off of that caution flag here. Allowing Bex to pull away. Here's Kurdzielak and Hagelin for the spot. Sanchez up on the wall, keeps her going. Trouble in the back, that's Daniel Best of the 5. And a hard crash head on for Terry Orr, taking a sledgehammer shot.
That was a massive impact coming at turn number 1. I think that 54 car is probably ready for the scrap heap. That was a huge moment. The yellow is back out yet again. I mean, hey, cautions breed cautions. We say that for a very good reason. And here at Pocono, I think that is a rather factual statement. So a big hit for both of those racers coming at turn number 1, and the yellow is going to come back out.
And Daniel Bess stuck a couple laps down earlier on today after a internet issue where it was disconnected from the server. Contact off the 29 of Nesta. Let him sideways. 00 gets involved. Look at Orr just trying to miss it. Man, that's a hard hit. All 4 wheels off the ground in a car that weighs 3,400 pounds, a ton and a half.
Whew, that was a monster hit. Sledgehammer hit, as you said. As we do that onboard shot with him, you can see that hood already crumpled up. Let's take a look at this. This is going to be a huge whack. You see that drama going on a little bit farther in front. The first puff of smoke, and you can see trying to figure out any sort of way, turns down to try to avoid that drama going on right in front. As soon as that front grips up, the rear does not, and bang, that was a hellacious impact into that inside wall.
You know, that looked a little similar when he was trying to avoid the wreck. Looked a lot similar to the crash Jeff Fuller had nearly a decade ago. No, nearly 2 decades ago, I should say, at Kentucky.
You know, when I saw that, I was thinking of a different Jeff. I was thinking of Jeff Gordon at Las Vegas many.
Oh, yeah, that was a wild one, too, yeah.
Yeah, the crash that they said really messed up his back and pretty much led to Jeff Gordon eventually retiring at the end of the 2015 season. And apparently NASCAR somewhere in the vault does have the onboard shot of that wreck following Jeff, and they said that video will never be released because of his unnatural body movements as a result of that collision. You know, race car impacts, even though the safer barriers, they call it soft wall technology, which, granted, compared to a concrete wall, a lot better than it used to be. So we have some drivers faking that run down to the pits.
Guys, though, pitting. Hegland, Sanchez, Osborne, Nesta, Hewitt, Best, and Orr. Obviously, the latter two involved in that last caution flag. Not sure if I like the decision to come in and pit. It's a gamble. 9 laps of fresher tires, but we didn't complete a green flag lap this time. And again, we've been preaching it all night long. Track position is key.
Track position absolutely massive here at Pocono. Who's going to be able to get it right towards the end of this race? With us getting into crunch time, we will have to worry more and more about the potential of yellows coming out here as well. Just saw the worst impact of the night coming out of turn number 1 on that latest restart. Have a feeling it will not be the last of the yellows here tonight. But again, earlier on this evening, folks, tuning into the NASCAR race, I said if we can make it all the way through to the checkered flag without another yellow coming out, I would eat my own hair. So now, as a result of that, I am bald and not going to make any more bets about Pocono tonight.
Come on, let's see the proof. Let's see the proof, Ron.
I'm kidding. I am absolutely petrified of becoming bald. Both of my brothers went bald by the time they were 18, and so as a result of that, I have 2-foot-long shocker red hair.
I'm not bald, but I like to do the buzz cuts, and so that's kind of similar to being bald. I've done it once. I've had a complete shave in the past, and it's nice. It's fun.
Yeah, I think the only reason why I have any sort of muscle definition on my neck, even though it's been 2 years since I got out of my old shifter carts, is the fact that I have a lot of hair on my head. If I had a buzz cut, my neck would probably be about the same width as a pencil compared to what it used to be. I used to look like, I still kind of do, look like an unemployed WWE wrestler. With my slightly smaller neck, I look slightly less like that, but I can't even imagine how my head would feel if I went with a buzz cut and cut my hair for the first time since May of 2021. You know, this is rather interesting tangent, but we'll go off on this anyways. We used to have a tradition back in my karting days that at the start of every single season, we would I would cut my hair, and my dad would do the same. We would show up to the first event with long hair and then show up to the next one, and me and my very young kid voice back when we started this tradition in 2014, I would say to everybody who came up and asked about my hair, I said, I was only here to light my hair on fire. And yes, that is accurate. I did have a rather bad speech impairment as a kid.
You're not alone, me too.
It still comes out of me when it comes to commentary stuff, but yeah, last time I got my hair cut was in May in 2021. My sister-in-law used to do it because she works at a I always forget the term. I always say cosmetology, I think is the other correct term.
Yeah.
One of my dyslexia always comes back to bite me in the butt whenever I talk about this stuff. But she works as an instructor for people learning how to cut hair, and she would always do it for me. Then about a week after the last time she cut it, her and my brother adopted 2 kids. So now I'm left here being like, you know what, I can't realistically say, I know you've got a family and everything to worry about, but it's okay if you can cut my hair so I can save a quick $15. So I just haven't cut it in about 4 years. Math?
Okay.
It's not much.
Yeah, just about. All right, we got to restart. I like this. I love the story. Love the story. You have to tell me another time in private, but we got to restart here. About to put 87 laps on the board with under 20 laps to go. Baxter and Alvarez, row 1. S3 Kurdzielak, row 2. Alan Duggar rounds out the top 5 for Alvarez. Highest spot that he's been in since the close call in stage 1. Back to the green flag. Baxter wastes no time, has Alvarez cleared on the straightaway. Staying up turn number 1, can Alvarez clear Assery? Yes, he does, and now Duggar sent it deep. He's side by side with Kurdzielak. That's for the 4th spot off turn 1.
Oh, that's a 6, losing it out of turn number 1. Big hit into the inside wall.
At Switzer, no caution flag. We stay under the green flag. And that time, that was one that he could not save once again. How about Alvarez trying to keep pace here with Trevor Baxter with that right front fender damage?
And man, talk about a comeback for the driver of the number 19 car. If you can start this race up towards the front, then start to drop back, and then right at the very end of this race, come back at the right time. Hey, doesn't matter what you do in the midsection of this race, if you can lead the final lap, that's all that matters at the end of the day. The number 19 looking to do that at the present moment, holding on to P2. Let's see if he has anything for your race leader of Baxter.
Alvarez looking to punch his ticket into the playoffs, yet to win this season. Trevor Baxter, though, the dominant man all year with 8 wins. The rest of the winners, they only have 1. It's been the Baxter show so far this season. Let's go back to 4th. Alan Duggar is taking a spot away. He's looking for win 2 on the year. Now has to chase down Chris Essery in that number 4.
And it is a fight like hell between these racers. They are trying to scrape and claw for every single position that they can get. Look at some drivers nearly ripping the wall through turn number 3. Not sure if that's the advisable line as we head our way off to the final turn here at Pocono, but doesn't mean these drivers aren't going to go for it. A side-by-side racing going on between some of these racers is solidly inside of the top 10. Baxter sang the best lap of the race last time by, so peaking at the right time he is, as that's a move for 3rd.
52-82, just what Baxter wants. Duggar needs Alvarez to keep fighting with Baxter for the race lead, so that way Duggar can catch up to the front 2. We'll see here. He's got to make up, though, 1.1 seconds, and we know the 2 best cars of the race have been both the Camrys in the field, Baxter and Dougler. Remember, that each of them up 12 spots. Baxter came from 13th on the grid, Duggar from 15th. They did not take time in qualifying. We've got 15 laps to go. We're coming to 14 to go as we're approaching the witching hour here in this race, people.
Gang, it's a crunch time tonight here at Pocono. To all of you tuning into this broadcast here at Maconi Entertainment, we hope you enjoyed the racing action. If you have, happen to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss out on the racing action, which is still intense between these two. The 15 and the 4 going to battle tooth and nail yet again, as at the front of the field, Baxter looking to try and defend any sort of challenge that the number 19 has. Those two rather close. We've got some packs forming right towards the end of this race. Not a whole lot of time left to go on the clock. Not a whole lot of time and distance left for these racers to get some moves done. Doesn't mean they're going to be racing, as that was huge hits for a lot of racers through turn
3. Up the wall, made to lose 4th here to Josh Sanchez. That last lap for Duggar cut down a half second on Trevor Baxter, but side by side for the 4th spot. Sanchez also a fast hot rod underneath that Monster Energy hood, up to the 4th position as we have 13 laps of race to go here. Last time by, it was Duggar, still quickest by under 1/10 of a second, despite having a close call last time by. And now he's back on the patented Duggar lane, trying to dig in for everything. And it worked out that time, trying to close in on Alvarez in turn 1.
Got a fight between a Toyota and a Mustang for P1 and P2. You've got another Toyota and another Mustang running right behind these racers as well. Have to go back to P number 7 to find your highest up Chevy. But as we get into crunch time in this race, I don't think manufacturer alignment is something these drivers are thinking of. Instead, they're worrying about who can be the best of the best at the end of this race. Get that win here at Pocono. And for some of these racers, they may be looking at win number 2 this season, or in the case of your race leader, maybe win number 9 if you can hold on.
It's a 3-car battle for what could be this race win. Duggar, a great job drafting. Alvarez having a tough time. Makes you wonder if that right front fender damage did something to his car earlier on. Baxter and Duggar matched pace last time by, even 53-second laps ticked off. Everyone's staying single file for right now. No close battles on the racetrack. Up on the wall, Alvarez, same with Sanchez. They puff up some smoke. Allows Duggar to close in.
I was just going to say, talk about consistency and talk about these drivers running on the ragged edge of control. Quick lap times, consistent lap times, but these drivers are getting more and more risky with every single lap that passes. Really, with every single turn that passes, we're seeing more and more drivers end up in the wall, utilizing the limits here in this NASCAR Next Gen car to be able to...
Oh boy. Alvarez opened up the door for Duggar, but a great turn 1 for the number 19. Duggar better on corner X, and now sets things up here into Indianapolis in the race for the second spot. Duggar downstairs on Alvarez. Can he grab second off in turn 2, then set his sights on Baxter? Let's see what happens. They stay side by side. Oh boy, Alvarez crowding the number 15 right next to the apron. And this allows Baxter to open up the gap a little bit, allows Sanchez to close in. At the same time, they're side by side for second, and Duggar slide jobs Alvarez up to the 2 spot. Alvarez counters, oh, contact! Hang on, Allen! All around he goes! Best misses him, caution flag waves!
Oh, so close to having even more racers getting caught up in all that drama. I think it may have been Joshua Sanchez that had a matter of millimeters between himself and the spinning out number 12 car. Contact being made down into the turn. I was saying that these drivers were pushing each other and pushing their cars more and more. That was a literal push down into turn at number 3. Gonna have to load up a replay of that drama. Definitely had some assistance in that spin.
Here we go. Watch this. Duggar saying on the radio, wow, wasn't too pleased over that. I mean, you can't blame him with the great car right next to him on the night. And he just took the air off and gets into it. You know, I want to watch that shot. I know that's from our aerial shot, but trying to get a better look at it. And there was some slight contact there. Slight contact, but I mean, you could consider it a netcode situation too at the same time, so it's really tough to tell how that looked, but man, that is a heartbreak for Alan Duggar, who probably had the fastest car next to Trevor Baxter this evening.
As we jump on board with these racers, I don't think it was any sort of netcode contact. I think that was just full bore contact. Let's see. The 12 goes for the dive. The 19 looking to get back at him there. You can see the 12 slows up.
Yeah, the back end got
that car turn around.
The back end was coming out from underneath, but they did make the ruling. They have penalized Alvarez with an EOL, and at the same time, not too happy. So let's see if there's any games going on here with these late race pit stops. Drivers just trying to top off here. What are you thinking here? 2 tires, 4 tires, fuel only? This is a tough decision here.
Oh, that is very, very tough. If it were me, I would probably go with fuel only. Fuel
would not be surprised if we saw that. Let's see here. Osborne does fuel only. See who the next one is that's out.
I think everyone's
Baxter does 4 tires. Just about everyone else doing 4 tires here. So Osborne wins the race off pit road with fuel only. Baxter on back, 4 tires. Baxter, Essery, Kurdzielak, Burchett, and Nesta. Top 3 drivers stayed out with 9 laps to go. And again, to remind everyone has enough fuel to go the distance. Hegland, Freeman, and Switzer. Now they have a better chance to win this race than compared to maybe a track like Phoenix, where you really do have to rely on the tire game, or a track like a Kansas or a Chicagoland. I think the top 3 have a better chance to win because of this track position situation that we've been talking about all race long.
You know, I will say, and this is honest, I don't really get the call to pit for 4 tires from some of those racers. I really do not. I mean, it's...
I would have gone for 2.
Yeah, I mean, I would have gone for 2 or maybe even fuel only. We're getting to that point in the race where, in terms of the time left to go, you're not going to really utilize those tires too much. You're gonna see a little bit of a gain, but not really too much. And plus, if you have that track position advantage, if you can just hold out to that race lead and aero block some of the drivers behind you, you can hold them off. Doesn't even matter if you have tires off of Fred Flintstone's car on that car. If you just have that advantage with clean air, you can be good.
Osborne, decides to pit. And so that puts Baxter up to 4th. Everyone else moves up 1.
And you know, I was going to raise this talking about the call to pit for some of those racers, as we are going to be getting the restart next time by. Whether or not we will have another yellow between the end of this race remains to be determined. Have 1 green-white checkered attempt allotted to these racers. It's not unlimited. It's not 3 as I have seen in the past on broadcasts I've done. Nope, it's just 1. You get 1 attempt to end it under green. If you can't do it, then that'll be game, set, match. I really think that the good call for that pit stop was to try and just get out with good track position. These racers who stayed out, I think they're going to be good. I mean, based off the other time that they all came down pit lane, would they have had enough to make it through the end of a extended green-white checkered sort of phase with only one attempt? I think they all would have been fine, if not maybe a little bit close. So if it were me, I maybe would have even potentially stayed out there.
So here we go. 97 laps go up on the board this time by. And we'll have about 7 laps to go when we come back to the green flag. Hegland, Freeman, Switzer, your top 3. They stayed out. As Trevor Baxter has had one of the fastest cars all day long in 4th. Chris Esri, Michael Kurdzielak, row number 3. Brian Burchett, James Nestor, row 4. Josh Sanchez, Alan Duggar round out the top 10 on this restart. In the witching hour of this race, can somebody take out Trevor Baxter and make sure he does not get win number 9 of the season? About to find out. You look at the playoff situations here. Thomas Hegland, Thomas Freeman, each looking for their first win of the season to punch their ticket into the playoffs. We're about to see what happens here. 7 laps to go. We're back to green at Pocono. And both lines stacked up, including the outside line of Baxter. Not what he wanted. I think Freeman spun the tires here. Esri with a big advantage here. He's past the dominant car. He's up to 3rd. Sanchez tries to look underneath there. Same with Freeman. Hegland and Switzer, they both have 3rd place clear for right now. But they got big runs on the 4, and same with Trevor Baxter. A lot of contact made. Everybody hanging on for right now.
And they are 2 by 2 down the back straightaway off into turn number 2. Who's going to win out of this battle? Who's going to lose out on all of it? The 17 make a wall contact, and 22 at the time of the 4.
Oh, what a save though from Esri. Everybody hanging on. Esri keep running it. He keeps it going. We stay green. But now look at this. Trevor Baxter for the 3rd position. Josh Sanchez. He takes it away. We're coming to 6 laps to go. Now sets his sights on the 6th of Josh Switzer. It's a 3-car battle for 2nd. Big push by Sanchez towards Switzer. So that way no speed is given to the 10 of Baxter.
Oh, look at that.
That's a great move there.
Oh, that had to have been a matter of inches between himself and the front bumper of the number 10. He was either going to get that done like he did, or he's going to turn himself.
Oh, look at Baxter. 3 wide for 2nd.
Oh, I don't have a good feeling about this at all. Hang down the back
little
stretch,
contact
to
there.
Number 2, the 10 on the inside, the 6 on the outside, the 22 in the middle. They get it single filed out down to turn number 2. That ended a heck of a lot better than I thought it would.
So Baxter goes 2 for 1. And we'll have 5 laps to catch the 99 of Hegland. Baxter with 10 laps of fresher tires. The gap just under 1 second. And Switzer makes his way onto pit road. He won't contend for the win tonight. Black flag, excuse me, to the 6th of Switzer. Should also mention they've DQ'd the 19 of Alvarez. And I believe it was for fighting back with race control under the yellow. Burchett, Duggar, Nesta, they race for the 5th spot. The gap now at 3/10 of a second. That last time by Baxter knocked off 3/10. He'll knock off even more this lap.
Oh, man, I thought they were going to wreck. They were coming out of turn number 1. The convergence of these race cars was so much different. Pace.
Oh, Baxter's got to run. Baxter, big run here into turn 3 for the race lead. Baxter makes it look easy. Trevor Baxter to the point. 4 laps of race to go here at Pocono. The number 12 out in front.
Trevor Baxter getting that move done with authority. He's been unstoppable thus far this season, and looking pretty all right at the present moment if he can hold on to that spot between now and the end. Now with 4 laps left to go here at Pocono. Not a lot of time left. Not a lot
look who's also in this.
Miles left.
Look who's also in this too, Josh Sanchez. He's getting held up though from Thomas Hegland. Oh, Sanchez, nearly a bumper to Hegland. Catches the wall, tries to go around the outside.
Ooh, and here we go down into the turn. Who's gonna back out of this fight? It looks like he's gonna back out on the outside line. Not a lot to gain in that. Coming to 3 to go now for Baxter.
So Baxter out in front. with 3 laps to go. You're still watching on your screen. I believe that's Duggar in the 15. Give him credit at least for making the move up to the 4th spot. With 3 laps of racing to go. Still with challenge from Freeman, the 17. In the wall, Sanchez off for 1. He'll need a yellow if he wants to stay alive.
And I wonder if we will get a yellow at this point in this race. The field is somewhat spread out, so I'm not really sure if we will be able to find ourselves getting caught up in a yellow and having to worry about the green-white checkers. Looking good for Baxter. Knowing my luck, though, I probably just jinxed it. We're going to see a 3-car wreck in about 15 seconds time.
Well, you know, that's not what Baxter wants to see, as he's 5 miles away from taking the win. Thomas Freeman, James Nesta in a battle for the 5th spot. I think we may be having some technical difficulties here. Showing you the best battles on the racetrack. We'll try and get a replay of the Baxter lead change in just a moment here, hopefully. But Nesta makes his way past Freeman. He's up to 5th, but look at Trevor Baxter checking out. But Sanchez is closing in. Gap at 6/10 of a second. But I think catching up to Baxter will be very tough. He'll likely need a yellow if he wants to get back into this.
And if he wants a yellow to come out, he doesn't have a whole lot of time left for that yellow flag to come out here. So Baxter looking very good here at the present moment, as we're going to take a look at the move that he was able to put on to grab this race lead and potentially even the race win.
Yeah, just made the move here underneath Hegland. And Hegland just simply let him go. He knew he did not have the pace to match Trevor Baxter. White flag is waved. Final lap underway here at Pocono.
And for Baxter, this is going to be another commanding drive for him. He has gotten so many wins up to this point in this season. It's another textbook race. Things have gone well for him up to this point when it comes to strategy. He's got to be able to weather the storm as he heads his way down the backstretch off into turn number 2 for the final time.
He's been the dominant driver this season in the Door Cup Series. Every race, except for one, he has finished inside the top 5. He'll get a bunch more playoff points with this dominant performance once again on the tricky triangle. He's tamed it masterful tonight. Off at turn number 3, win number 9 of the season. Trevor Baxter takes the win at Pocono. Sanchez 2nd, Hegland 3rd, Duggar 4th, and Nesta in 5th. Freeman 6th, Kurdzielek 7th, Osborne 8th, Burchett 9th, Chris Essery 10th. Switzer rounding out the lead lap cars in 11th, but it's Trevor Baxter, your dominant car, as he takes the win here in the Door Cup Series at Pocono. He'll do some donuts, and we'll talk with your top 3 in just a moment on Maconi Entertainment. Back here on Maconi Entertainment as Trevor Baxter has poofed the engine for win number 9 on the season, doing some donuts as he wins by 2/3 of a second on Joshua Sanchez. Take a look at your race results here from tonight. As mentioned, Baxter the winner, Sanchez in second, Thomas Hegland in third, Alan Duggar fourth, James Nesta fifth, Thomas Freeman in sixth, Michael Kurdzielak in seventh, and Tommy Osborne eighth, Brian Burchett ninth, and Chris Essery rounded out the top 10. Ron?
And then looking through the rest of the drivers that we have inside of this field, there's a top 10 that you've got on screen right now. Fantastic win there from Baxter at the end of all of this racing action. If we could just scroll to the second page, it continues on with Switzer at a really tough go of things here in this race. Daniel Best, who had some connection issues. William Hewitt is classed in P13. Michael Reeves in 14th after a big crash right towards the end. He was joined in that collision by Terry Orr, had another big impact himself. Danny Carpenter is classed in P16, and from Doug Ezel in P at number 17. Brian Wasserman will be classed in 18th. Miguel Alvarez, after being involved in some drama, got disqualified from this race, will be the 19th and final racer that started this race to be classified at the very end. So those are your results after 104 laps of racing action here from the Door to Door Racing League here at Pocono. At Trevor Baxter, your race winner.
Let's bring in your race winner right now. Win number 9 on the season for Trevor Baxter. A dominant car, man, but was not easy in those final laps. Take me through the call there to pit at the end, and if you were considering staying out at the same time with track position being a factor.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if we needed to go in or stay out, but I figured we'll go in and see what happens. Car was good, a little tight in the first run. Try to balance it out. Track gets real slippy with the new car model. So tried to, not push too hard, just kind of run my own pace, run the track versus racing everybody. And it seemed to work out. Every time I would just run my own pace, the cars in front of me would just either get loose and wreck or fall off. So just kind of maintain that mentality the whole race, just kind of ran my own race and not worried about everybody else. And it worked out. Every time I did that, I ended up in the front. So.
Wanted to ask you as well what it was like racing some of the other drivers out there that were matching your race pace. You had drivers like Josh Sanchez finishing second. I think he was a bit faster than you in those final laps too. Obviously a very fast car for Alan Duggar before he got spun in those final laps. And then also I think William Hewitt was matching your pace too throughout the night before he had his accident.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what was going to happen when we had the green flag run. I know William pitted kind of early, seen that. So I tried to go, 2 or 3 laps and pit. I wasn't sure if that was going to work or not, but caution came out. We just did what we had to do and drove the car the best we could and ended up in the front. So that's where you want to be.
Well, next week is Echo Park Raceway, obviously Atlanta. Drafting track, your thoughts going on in?
I think it's a big unknown to everybody with a new car model. I don't know what's going to happen. We'll see. I don't know.
You guys raced here earlier this season, though, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
but not in this league. I don't believe. If I did, I missed that race. But
okay, gotcha. Understandable.
Everything's different. So. Everybody's on a different playing field now, so everybody's trying to figure out the new car, new tire model, and it's got its quirks, got its quonks. It's different.
Who do I give shouts to before we let you go?
Shout out to MF Choppers out of Churchland, Painted Magic out of Lexington, definitely Ken Byron, all the Ryco guys. They put the car together and they do all the testing. Ken put a lot of time in this new model and trying to figure it out. So shout out to him.
Well, I think you're one of the few that's got it figured out the best compared to everyone else. So congratulations on the win, your 9th win this season, and hopefully we'll talk to you again next week in Atlanta.
All right, buddy. Appreciate it. Thank y'all for what y'all
do. Oops. Apologies for cutting Trevor off there. I thought that was going to be it for him. But meanwhile, the second place finisher almost had it there in that Monster Energy number 22. That, of course, is Josh Sanchez. And Ron has caught up with our runner-up finisher.
Yeah, Joshua Sanchez, welcome here into the commentary booth. Congratulations on the P2 result here this evening. How was it out there here at Pocono?
I tell you, that dirty air was a little rough. Trevor, once he passed me in the lead on those last couple laps, I just couldn't find that clean air and just kept tightening up on me.
And I think I said following the final pit cycle on that last yellow that you could put Flintstone tires on this race car and you'd still probably struggle in that dirty air. Just super tough around this racetrack. Don't have that banking to assist you, so you really have to rely on that aero grip. I'm sure you can probably just feel that difference between being in the clean air, then picking up that dirty air. And it just feels like the car starts to weigh 1,000 pounds more.
Yeah, I just want to turn right up into the wall, and it's not a good feeling once you're trying to make some ground up, especially when you're in P2.
Well, so yeah, a pretty good result for you here at Pocono, and a rather tough race to manage. I talked a lot throughout this broadcast about the challenges of trying to manage this race from the mental side of things. I want to ask you about how hard it was to just stay in the game all throughout this race.
I mean, mentally, I'm pretty strong. I'd like to say I banged the car up a couple times against the wall and was questioning myself coming down to the pits with 15 seconds of damage. But all in all, I made the right decisions and I felt comfortable.
I'm sure you're rather happy about this P2 result and keeping some good momentum rolling into the next race at Atlanta. Completely different racetrack than what we had here at Pocono tonight. But what are your thoughts heading to that race in 1 week's time?
I mean, I like the Mustang and the drafting track, so I'm excited for that one.
Oh, yeah, man. I'm looking forward to seeing you out there on the racetrack for that race in just 1 week's time. But Joshua Sanchez, well, I'll let you give any thanks or shouts out before we let you go.
I appreciate it. I'd like to shout out you guys for working hard for us and shout out the Door-to-Door League.
And I thank you as well, man, for joining us here in the commentary booth and giving us some fantastic racing action to look at all evening long. Congratulations on the P2, and we'll see you out there next week.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Josh Sanchez finishing in the runner-up spot, and we go to the final spot on the podium, Thomas Heglin. And we brought him in here in third. Thomas got us, Marty and Ron up in the booth.
Yep, I got you.
Thomas, not bad of a strategy call to stay out, finish in third. I think, obviously, Trevor and Sanchez were a lot faster than you. It feels like from my perspective, it seemed like staying out worked, finishing in a better spot than probably would have finished if you pitted. Would you agree on that?
Yeah, I had a mediocre car all day. This is actually my first time running this track so far this week, so I came in a little early and did some running on it. But listen, I'm happy with a third, and I'll take it home for Salem Motorsports.
Almost had a shot at winning as well. I gotta admit at the same time, because that outside line really stacked up on the restart, and you opened up that gap to a second. What were you thinking there at the time, from your perspective?
I looked in the mirror and I saw Trevor Baxter coming, and I knew it was over. There's no beating him.
He has been dominant, that's for sure. Well, before we let you go, who do you want to give shout-outs to?
I want to give a shout out to my teammate Josh Switzer and our NEPA Securities and Technologies for all your camera and alarm and door access needs. Give them a call for NEPA Securities and Technologies.
Well, great run for you. Congratulations. Hopefully you can move things forward to Atlanta next week.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys.
Thomas Heglin finishing out the podium, and a great run by your top three as a whole. So as we get set to bid adieu here, final thoughts here, Ron, before we sign off.
When you think of racing action at Pocono, you think of a real test for these races. I think that's exactly what we saw here tonight. Whether it be the mental side of things, the car side of things, and just the driver side of things, we really saw these drivers get tested at Pocono. Looking forward to seeing the action in 1 week's time when the series rocks up to Atlanta. But as for tonight, I think we had some very good racing action and a very deserving winner at the end of it all as well.
Absolutely. A reminder what's coming up here on Maconi Entertainment before we head to next week at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Obviously, that's taking place 8 p.m. right here. Rest of the schedule on Maconi Entertainment. We've got Fords on Monday, Strength of Field Series at Olton Park, 3:45 p.m. That is tomorrow. Then our Fast Fridays Money Race returns for Gen 4s, the classic Gen 4s at Michigan. That is going to be a classic, that's for sure. FLCC Friday Night Lights back with you at Echo Park Raceway at 8:30 p.m. Friday night, followed by 24 hours later the Full-Length Cup Challenge, also at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. And then we're back to you here at Echo Park Raceway for door-to-door coverage. So next weekend, FLCC, then door-to-door, your places for iRacing at Atlanta. With that, we will bid you adieu on this fine Sunday night. Enjoy the rest of your night, and we will talk to you all later this week. Coming back for Christian Hill, working inside Mission Control, and my broadcast partner, Ron Mons. Bryce Callen saying so long. This has been a production of Maconi Entertainment as a presentation of the Door to Door Cup Series. Congratulations to Trevor Baxter, win 9 of the season at Pocono Raceway. So long, everyone.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need, Maconi.
With the launch of Maconi Entertainment and Maconi Competizone alongside Maconi Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MaconiSetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at Maconi Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.